round 6 of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series on RaceBot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, is coming up next.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacing Live, coverage brought to you by RaceBot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Watkins Glen International in the USA hosts the 6th round of 16 for the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. A 5.5 kilometer circuit, 3.4 miles, clockwise layout, 11 turns, 4 of those to the left, 7 to the right, which will challenge the drivers for 56 laps of racing later today. The pit lane lost time around about 25 to 30 seconds. Very long time spent as drivers scream past the pits on the main straight around about 300 kilometers an hour, so look out for those strategies later today. With the elevation change of 43 meters, there is lots of challenges. Every single turn here is memorable. The Glen itself opened in 1956, hosting rounds of the Formula One World Championship, NASCAR, the 6 Hours of the Glen, and many, many more. A historic venue located close to Niagara Falls, Rochester, and New York City itself. Good afternoon, everybody. Johnny Simon on hand in the commentary booth alongside Rachel Whiteford, Jake Sperry, Hugo Luis on cameras for us, and we're now in qualifying with 7.5 minutes remaining. Now, Rachel, it's not necessarily a critical point of the year, but this is one of the first seasons in quite a while where no real dominant winner has emerged. And you look at the likes of Martin Kroenke, 2 race wins in 5 rounds this season. The most he's ever taken in a single calendar year has been 3. He's already 2/3 of the way there. Is this a racetrack where he can make it 3?
Well, it might well be, of course, Johnny, but we have to get past the king of the Glen, and that is Gregor Houtu. This man has gone unbeaten at Watkins Glen. He has this place dialed in. He's had a rocky season so far, of course, but it could be a chance to see him shine once again. However, there are many challengers willing to take his crown. Will it be Yoni Tamala? Will it be Martin Kroenke? Will Graham Carroll have something for them? He's sitting high in the qualifying standings at the moment. The Apex Racing driver clearly picked up his qualifying game. Houtu's sitting back in P6 at the moment, so you know how starts can be here at Watkins Glen. This could be a tricky one for him to keep going.
Yeah, we follow Gregor now. Now remember, in qualifying, it's a 15-minute session. You only get 2 flying laps. That makes it oh so challenging, Jake, as Houtu now has already set a lap time, a 1:17.6. This is his final lap of qualifying. He has to find half a second to pass Mitchell de Jong for pole.
Yes, he does. This is a real challenge here for Gregor Houtu. He's not been in a position where he's been pushed this far, as Robin Friscops actually goes fourth, so bumps him down to row 4 on the grid at the moment as things stand. Gregor Houtu, he's a guy who's unbeaten here, but I'm going to make this really bold statement now. If Gregor Houtu can't win this one here, Gregor Houtu is not going to win this championship by what I've seen so far.
Yeah, he's going to have to take it a step up, but here he comes towards the final parts of the lap, on towards turn 8. The boot really has to get this corner correct, on the throttle smoothly, and then the uphill blind apex for turn 9. This is a challenging part of the racetrack here. He's just waiting for the time to finish. He's waiting to get himself up into pole position. He needs a strong result as he wraps around the final corner, turn 11. Will this be pole position for Gregor Hutu at Watkins Glen as he crosses the line? And it improves to P2, so it's not pole position for Hutu there. Incredibly detrimental, Rachel, but he's still on the front row.
He is. It's a great position to be, but it's the offside of the grid, of course. So I managed to beat Mitchell de Jong. Mitchell de Jong having a great run here with that 17.126. Slower. Martin Kroenke. For Gregor Hutu, who is only 200ths faster than Martin Kroenke. So this is a really interesting development here. This could be a very big race. Of course, Graham Carroll, massive qualifying effort from him. P4. He's only 0.6 hundredths even off Gregor Hutu, which is, really big territory. We've got an Apex Racing driver showing some real promise in his inaugural season. This could be a real challenge for Hutu. He's a target for everybody on that grid.
And Joni Tomala just crossed the line with a poor lap. He made a mistake at the end. He sets a 1 minute 17.8, and that's only enough for P13. But Graham Carroll, don't forget, for the Apex Racing UK team, he was the iRacing Pro Series of Road Racing champion in the last season that just took place. So we look at Mitchell de Jong in pole position alongside Gregor Hutu, Martin Kroenke, Graham Carroll in P3 and P4. Sebastian Job just gets himself up into P5, so a good strong result here, and that's something, Jake, that has been lacking for Sebastian Job since the first round at Interlagos. He's just been struggling at this point in time.
Yes, he has. He's been going off in fits and starts, and who can forget at Phillip Island where he climbed up 20 positions. His qualifying pace hasn't been there, but he is up there with Graham Carroll right now, up there with Hutu Kroenke de Jong. He's in a fantastic position right now as I'm watching Paul Eilbrink come across the line. Can he go quicker? Answer that one is 18.055. No, only P25 for him, so poor qualifying by his standards, but there are so many names which are down the order. You look at Tamala, you look at Van Loosenhoorn down the order, Ollie Pakela down on row 6. This is one for the ages.
As Jake Sturgis now, 1 minute 17.9. He begins the lap now, so Sturgis is critical here for NX Racing. Rachel, Sturgis has been in a pretty good season so far. He's never finished in the top 10, but he's top 10 in the standings. Hutu Sessions obviously over in second. And Sturgis here, if he gains a couple of tenths, he could find himself starting in the top 10. He's currently in P22 as he wraps around the outer loop, turn 5.
Yeah, he certainly does. A great run here through the this part of the track. Really tricky part for him to get right, of course, as we see him doing this lap now. This critically really improves this one. The boot, really tricky section of this racetrack. Camber's constantly changing. This surface very old here at Watkins Glen. He's off the track.
Yeah. That's lap over for Jake Sturgis. He will start from P22, and this seems to be the only qualifying session. It's not split, so 34 drivers here today, and good to see Rocco Barone out there racing today. We haven't seen him in quite a while, but Joni Tomala, he's finished 2 races this season, and each of them have been race wins. He's had 3 DNFs, no race wins. Here we go, Jake. He wraps around the carousel, turn 5, that outer loop. Now, as the corners seem to progress here, it's a very technical circuit. They progress slower and slower as he wraps around this part of the racetrack.
Yes, it does. He heads himself now into the toe here of turn number 8 on circuit. He is really trying to push himself, or well, as I should say, turn number 7 to get my corners mixed up. Tamala needs to find the magic here. He's down on row number 9 on the grid. He is in trouble right now, and this will be pretty much season over if he can't get himself in the right positions. He heads himself now through this turn number 9. He's got 2 to go here around this circuit here, Johnny. He's got to get these corners absolutely dialed in perfect. A little bit wide there through that first corner, missing the apex slightly. Hits that second corner absolutely fine. His drive to the line. Will he go any quicker, Johnny? The answer to this one is going to be an affirmative yes, because he pushes himself only P number 9 on the grid.
Yeah, half a tenth up ahead of Mo Garfilio of the Radicals Online team as we wait for a couple of other drivers to finish. Martin Kroenke P3, no, he's out of the session, and Dinkel completes his session, and that is it. Qualifying's all but wrapped up for round 6 of the championship. Actually, on that note, is Benjamin Lindsay out there? No, excuse me. Benjamin Lindsay's into the pit, so he is not set a time. And that is indeed locked in for qualifying. These times here, Mitchell de Jong is on pole position for the 6th round. Another pole for Mitchell de Jong. What an absolute great result for him. Hutu on the front row again, promising as he can still claim the lead in the early laps. But he's in a Coanda Simsport sandwich as Martin Kroenke is in P3 right behind the 5-time world champion. What a qualifying performance from the Apex Racing UK drivers of Graham Carroll and Sebastian Job, 4th and 5th respectively for them. And don't take it away from Robin Friskops, a 6th place qualifying performance from him. Nice stuff. Bootaloop in 7th, Dinkel into the top 10 in 8th, and then it's Tormula and Filio 9th and 10th. You can see down the order a few other notable names. Here we go, Rachel. You know, you see some of these names down the order. Yuta Saito, who's currently in the top 6 in the championship with drop weeks included, and he's a driver who really needs to make his way up through the field, and we've seen that though, so he'll put his talents to the test here today.
Yeah, he certainly will, Johnny. Of course, Yuta Saito had that incident with Yoni Tamala last week at Monza. It's going to be a tricky race, of course. Mid-pack here is difficult to get through. We've had some big moments early on in the Watkins Glen races in history, but as it stands, it's looking good. Hutu, of course, offside of the grid. Tricky. Martin starters. Sebastian Job and Graham Carroll, though, they are my oddball picks for this race. This is a massive turnaround in qualifying for the Apex Racing UK guys. They are historically quite quick in race pace. They usually make up a lot of spots. When you're qualifying at the back of the grid, you know, you've got to make up a lot of spots. Here, they have more track position, and track position is vital at a circuit like Watkins Glen. They are closer to the front. The chances of staying in the top 10, very high. Chance of a podium, extraordinarily high. Keep an eye on those guys today.
Yes, certainly, and we'll take an ad break now, and please join us afterwards for post-qualifying coverage and pre-race coverage. You're watching the 6th round of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to post-qualifying coverage for the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. It's Mitchell de Jong on pole position at Watkins Glen, setting a 1 minute 17.126, and that lap time, or that lap itself, can be seen right here. 1 minute 17.126 for Mitchell de Jong. Another pole position for him this season, but he needs to take a race win and reinvigorate his championship hopes here. Last year it was a 1 minute 17.0, Jake, for Martin Kroenke on pole position, so lap time's very, very close. Look at the lap as well, a small move for Mitchell de Jong at turn 5. The front end seemed to step away a little bit. Wasn't the best lap we've ever seen, but it was good enough for pole position by 2/10 on the rest of the field.
Well, it's testament to be seen here that Mitchell de Jong is absolutely flying here. He has found something that everyone else hasn't, and well, he puts himself now in the prime position for this race, and well, it's not as if his championship's over. He is within those 4 cars, which are all split by about 13 points at the top of the championship. He is in a prime position to go take a leap and a bound. And remember at the start of the season when we said that VRS Coanda are in trouble? Well, look at them now. They're 1-3 in the championship with a driver on pole.
Yeah, and there's also another critical point here, Rachel, is that, those 3 drivers in the top 3, de Jong, Hutu, Kroenke, they've got a battle with Carroll and Job behind. If those Apex Racing UK cars can jump in, and you said that they are really the dark horses this race because, potentially we've tipped Sebastian Job to win a race sometime soon. Graham Carroll's got so much experience, and I think he's a little bit underrated too in terms of how good he is in this series. Those 2 can put up a big fight to those top 3. A top 3 that's... They've all won a race in this series, and Carroll and Job really have that chip on their shoulder, which they want to be a race winner too.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was joking with one of the other Apex drivers this morning, seems like everyone wants to hit the Apex in racing. They've had some terrible luck in terms of incidents so far this season, and I think it isn't going to be long before guys like Carroll and guys like Job can get a win here. I think they are going to be talented. I think it'll be Job first, honestly. I think he's the most talented driver on their team, or at least the fastest so far this season. He's had some incredibly good runs. Silly mistakes, but he's made them less and less. So, Sebastian Job will be my pick for a race win. Could be this season. If this is a sign of things to come in terms of qualifying pace now, definitely this season.
Now, Jake, looking at the grid and how it's sorted out, Robin Friscop's one of the most consistent drivers in this series, starting from 6th position. Now, if he can stay consistent in this race and hold the same pace, he's got a great result for himself. And who would have thought that, for someone like Robin, for all the things that have gone on for that team, this season, INX have just looked so good, and he's already now above teammate Yoni Tomala for top driver in qualifying for INX Racing.
I know it's a testament to be seen. You look at INX Racing, they are the pinnacle at the moment. They have found something over the winter which nobody else has found, not only here in your iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We've seen it in NASCAR Peak Anti-Free Series. We've also seen it in the Blancpain GT World Endurance as well. And well, it's testament to be seen that Friscops is up there P6. He's a dark horse for this race. He has the potential to go onto a podium.
Now, Rachel, Michael Dinkel from P8, what a qualifying performance from him. A driver who's really struggled with that most of the time in terms of, over the past 3 months in the Pro Series as well as the World Championship Series too. He has actually finished in the top 10 this season once. Can he do it again at Watkins Glen? This seems to be a racetrack that has, Michael personally does not like it, but sometimes there might be a racetrack you don't like, but it just seems to suit your style at times.
Well, absolutely, Johnny, but this track, of course, it's incredibly setup dependent for the guys. It's a very tricky racetrack. A lot of combinations of fast and slow corners here that are really quite different to a lot of circuits which have, say, more of a slow corner feel, more of a fast corner feel. And this setup track is very setup dependent. You get the right setup underneath you, I think guys can pull some really big upsets. But get a setup wrong, you'll see a whole team struggle. So it's going to be really tricky, but I think some of these guys really could get a good result here. Watkins does typically have quite a high rate of attrition, so we're going to have to see what can happen.
Huh. Yeah, that's we won't speak about that for now. But you look as well, Rachel, at the best overtaking spots here. Turn 1 is a great one, but of course the back straight into Turn 5. Would you rather the outside or the inside into Turn 5? Because it seems that the outside line does set you up for Turn 6, the left-hander afterwards, the little chute, as it's called. It's a difficult conundrum, really. It's mostly on driver preference, but maybe in these cars it depends on how you've set them up for balance.
Yes, certainly. In terms of where I'd like to pass at Watkins Glen, Turn 1 is not one of them. Turn 1 is frightening at the best of times. It's a downhill, really steep corner, pretty aggressive, big curbs. They'll unsettle these cars. Good run out of turn 1 though, sets you up for a pass either in the S's or running towards the boot. Of course, you've got the carousel, great opportunity. You've got the run down into the boot in turn 7-8 region. Coming off the boot, not really a passing opportunity. The corner off the boot, the uphill left-hander rejoining the cut layout. That is tricky. It's off camber. It's quite fast. It's cresting. It really upsets the car. Could see some issues there, but it's a good passing opportunity because if you can nail that corner, you can get a better run than somebody else. You can pass them on the approach to the following corner, the left-hander that runs into the final section of this lap. So it's all about setting up a pass here and waiting.
Yeah, now Jake, Martin Kroenke, who did celebrate his 25th birthday between races here, between Monza and Watkins Glen, he does lead this championship by 4 points, with drop weeks included, but he is on 145 points. Now Hutu, who had that abysmal first round at Interlagos, can make up for it. In the first 12 weeks, you are allowed a drop week, so that is crucial for Hutu. But what's notable is Peter Berryman in 5th position in the championship, Saito 6th, Job, despite we're expecting so much more from him, he's still in the top 10 too, and Friskops with his consistency in 10th, Mishima 9th, so unexpected names in this new car, but Watkins Glen can really ruin your season because of the rate of attrition here.
Absolutely. You look at this as a track which has a higher crash to finish rate than other tracks that you'd normally see. You look at Watkins Glen, it can be one of these circuits which puts the strain on the driver. It feels a lot more like a street circuit than it does an actual racetrack because you've got these walls so closely encroached into what you have. So for really, it's a psychological disadvantage here for these guys. And you look at these guys who are up there fighting here, who've got good races so far. They can get an even better race, or maybe they can just fall themselves down the field.
Yeah, it's a very technical racetrack too. Rachel, as I said before, you go into the carousel turn 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9. They all slowly progress in speed. Degress in speed, or I don't even know if that's a word. Anyway. They all sort of slow down as you progress through the racetrack. But, you look at aero balance in terms of anti-roll bars too. It's a very technical circuit, and it's a big talking point has been that setup is so critical around here. Having those big teams where you can all communicate with each other and test and not have to suffer with only having one or two of you, it seems to have boded well. And, a big example here is Apex Racing UK with Carroll and Job in P4 and 5.
Well, you'd think that would be the case, of course, Johnny, but Apex Racing have historically had terrible qualifying pace. So despite having a very large team, they do struggle with that. And some of the smaller teams have, of course, done far better. I think this is changing, and I'm glad to see some big moves in that department this season, but it's going to be tricky, of course. Sometimes you just have it right. Sometimes the individual knowledge is more important. And, of course, the historically powerful teams, your Redlines, your Commanders, Radicals even as well, I'd include them. They have the depth of knowledge. I think Phoenix is another clean example of that one. They have a real breadth of knowledge in different disciplines, so it really enhances what they have in one. Once they understand more about how different cars operate at different circuits, they can really hone in on one specific car at one specific track. And that, we say, different approach can often help when you only are setting up one car for one series. Perhaps still think outside the box. You take a team that has stock car racing, GT racing, and Formula 1 racing. Sometimes a bit of out-of-the-box logic can be the trick to victory.
One final ad break, and then it's race time for round 6 of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live as usual. We'll join you after these small messages.
green flag in the air, we go racing. A good start by Hutu, a better start though by the driver of Martin Kroenke. In towards turn number 1 they come. Kroenke should take that race lead away from Gregor Hutu in towards the first corner, and indeed he does. So Kroenke will lead that first one, but will they all survive? Well, they're 3 wide, they're beating, they're banging a little bit, but they will survive.
Yanni Tamala, he's had a big moment there, Will. Hopefully try and get a replay of that one. Yeah, he's gone for the second chicane.
He got a little bit of a hit from behind, but there you can see Tomala. You can see that was in some ways a very big hit as well. Yoni, unfortunately, there you can just see just how slow that car was going. But well, Martin Kroenke, what a start by him. He leads his motor race right now by 1 second. Martin Kroenke versus Gregor Hutu. Last time by, they were separated by nothing. This time by, they're separated by 1/10 of a second. Kroenke is not pulling away from Gregor Hutu at the rate that he maybe wants to. Martin Kroenke in towards his pit box. You've also got Kazuki Omishima, Yuta Saito, Mitchell de Jong, Marinus Kolak all in towards pit road at the same time. Marinus Kolak versus Mitchell de Jong. We expect this one to be close. Oh, it's mighty close, because here we're on board with Mitchell de Jong. It's in the case of who's bolder. Mitchell de Jong will finally get himself past Marinus Kolak, and that's a case of almost bullying the competition there, Rachel.
Nevertheless, this first chicane as Young now has a look on the inside of Umeshima.
Yeah, and de Jong will move himself now up into P number 4 in this motor race.
De Jong has got his way past, but look, both drivers going off the racetrack, pushing hard through Lesmo 1. Now you're mid-apex, you can't, as De Jong goes off the racetrack again, you're mid-apex, it's blind, you're anticipating the exit of the corner. Sometimes you don't know the speed you're carrying through there, and you only find out when you're in the gravel on the exit, but...
Oh, we just saw there that the driver of Kazuki Omishima once again passed Mitchell de Jong. On board with Mitchell de Jong as they head themselves out of the final corner there, the curve of Parabolica. He loses a little bit though in the run down in towards turn 1. Will he be able to gain any momentum in towards turn 1? The gap is 1/10 of a second. Oh yeah, Mitchell de Jong back up into P number 4.
Yeah, he doesn't get the run out of the corner. Too deep under braking. Now Umeshima around the outside. He might have the inside into the second chicane, the Della Roggia. That's where De Jong has to defend now. He has the space. And Umeshima plays the safe game. He does not throw it up the inside. And I think that means De Jong should run away if he keeps the next couple of corners clean in through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2.
Hutu heading himself out the final corner. I actually go on board with him. He cannot, at this point, out the Variante second chicane there, cannot get himself the run over Martin Kroenke. Last time by, it looks as though that almost Gregor Hutu may well have fallen back into a rhythm. Yes, he's gaining time, but Hutu cannot gain what he needs to get himself to the race lead. He is now, Rachel, 2.6 seconds behind Martin Kroenke. 1 corner left to go here in this 5th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and Martin Kroenke will head himself out of the curve of Parabolica down towards the start-finish line. Martin Kroenke will win round number 5 of the championship there. Gregor Hutu will come home in 2nd place, but Hutu there, the month of May isn't here yet, but we know Hutu at P number 2 will be important in terms of the championship. Oni Pakala now through the Parabolica. He will come home in the 3rd place here today in this motor race, and it will be Kazuki Omishima who will come home in P number 4. What a run by Kazuki Omishima. We need to start talking about championships here, Johnny, because Kroenke versus Hutu, this one is as close as it's ever been at this part of the championship.
It's race time at Watkins Glen International for round 6 of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We're in 5 minutes away, around about that time, until we set for the grid and wait for Mitchell de Jong to storm away in pole position. Or can Gregor Hutu or his teammate Martin Kroenke fight for the first positions? What about the rest of the drivers behind? Let's all wait and see. Good afternoon, everybody. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Rachel Whiteford, Jake Sperry, Hugo Luis on cameras for us too. And here we go, Rachel. It's almost race time. This is where the nerves build up as usual, but composure is a critical factor in motor racing. You do not want to be making mental mistakes come a motor race.
Yeah, certainly not, Johnny, of course. And turn 1 here for Watkins Glen is probably one of the trickiest starts we have with the Monza. Oh, that was better than we expected. Can this one be better? Watkins is a danger zone. And these guys are going to be sailing into it head first. They will all be on the grid thinking, get through turn 1, get through turn 1, get through turn 1, and you've got a chance to win this motor race. If they can do that, it's all on.
It is also controversial here, Jake, about that turn 1 exit where the drivers start to run off, and some drivers think it's unsafe to do that. Even though you do gain time, you rejoin the racetrack so aggressively, but at the same time, it is allowed today, and you're going to see drivers doing that constantly throughout the event. So they're just going to have to be careful as they carry up to around about 200 kilometers an hour through the apex of turn 1.
Oh, absolutely, and well, you look at it, it's a bottleneck down into turn 1, heading up the field towards 2, 3 and 4. And well, if they do try and run it wide, and there are cars going to be going 4 or 5 wide through the middle part of turn number 1, then they've all got to try and funnel their way through back to 3. It's going to be a difficult one at the start. Expect maybe a couple of dramas to happen, but it should be fantastic racing all the while, despite anything that will go on.
We look at the championship standings now as well. Martin Kroenke leads on 176 points, so 10 points ahead of Gregor Hutu. No drop weeks included here. Mitchell de Jong in third there. He has not won a race this season. All the race wins have gone to Kroenke, Hutu, and Joni Tormler, who is in the 9th position in the championship. But you look at the likes of Olli Pakala, who isn't here today racing for Team Redline. So a week off for Olli Pakala. This will be his drop week for the first 12 weeks of the season, which is so critical, Rachel, because we know that if he comes back next week and he has a poor event, he will not be able to make...
Yeah, certainly, and we saw last season this was Gregor Hutu's turning point. This is where his championship really started to string itself together, Johnny, so win here would be critical for him reasserting that. Of course, undefeated at this racetrack in its history. Well, we have to see if he can manage it here from second on the grid. Practice is up, we've got a few minutes left, and well, this is going to be a very, very exciting race.
Yeah, apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. Pakala is starting from the 12th position, and that just goes to show, Jake, we're not really expecting him down there so far down the order. Such a strong driver. He has a couple of race wins to his name in this series too, way back in 2014. So he's a driver that just needs to find some confidence in himself, get a couple more tenths. But hey, he's content with himself, but he's not too pleased to be finishing always on the podium without a race win.
Well, yes, that's true, but you've got to remember he's one of only 2 drivers to have a top 5 in every single race this season. The only other driver to do that is your pole sitter, Mitchell de Jong. So it puts him in great stead. He's up there fighting for the championship. He's putting himself in a position where he needs to work on it, but he's in a position right now where he's down the order in P number 12. He's not ideal. He's got to deal with quite a few of the quick guys in qualifying to go past, and well, it's going to be difficult for him, but he's got to do it one step at a time if he wants to push himself further.
Yeah, so Mitchell de Jong is starting on pole position for today's race with a 1 minute 17.126 for Coanda Simsport. Hutu behind for Team Redline is on the front row, and then it's Martin Kroenke and Graham Carroll sharing the second row of the grid. Sebastian Job and Chris Skops in 5th and 6th. Behind them, it's Jeremy Bootloo and Michael Dinkel in the 7th and 8th positions. Not the best qualifying performance for Tormler or Mogarfilio, but they start in the top 10. We look down the order, a few notable names: Piatella, Pakala, 11th and 12th, Ilkka Harpala as well. He's also another consistent driver who's been underrated, so look out for him making his way up through the field. The same can be said for Alex Simpson and Yuta Saito in 14th and 15th. Peter Berryman, top 5 in the championship. He's currently in the 17th position on the grid. He's going to have to avoid that mid-pack trouble down the order. Emil Henriksen will start in 34th too. And I mentioned that, Rachel, is that Yuta Saito, it's so critical for him to stay out of trouble while he makes his way up through the field, especially in that mid-pack.
Yeah, certainly the mid-pack here will be very tricky for these guys to get right, but it can well be done. So make sure you get this one right, and it's all going to be a great race. But I have a lot of give and take though in the mid-pack. You've got to realise you aren't going to be able to go full speed. There are cars everywhere, so make sure you get this right. It'll be a good result for you.
Don't forget, as usual, you can follow this race on racebot.tv/timing for all your live timing needs. Use the hashtag IWCGPSGlen for any Twitter handle, any messages you want to send, and join the conversation there for us as we tick over to the grid. Final tips for the race, Jake and Rachel. We'll start with you, Jake.
Just generally keep your nose clean for the first lap and then try and run consistent. Make sure that you get yourself a good pit stop window sorted out, and make sure, most importantly, that your overtakes are clean and fair as you make it to the finish line.
Rachel.
Oh, get a good turn 1, of course. Stay away from Alexi Yusiakola in turn number 7. And it's going to be a great race. I think my pick for this one, Martin Kroenke.
Let's see what Kroenke can do from that third position. De Jong has the dirty line on the racetrack, the non-rubber line. He's going to be on the inside, however, for that first corner. Look out for 5-time world champion Gregor Hutu, who's starting from second on the grid. What can Carroll and Sebastian Job do from 5th and 6th? As the lights illuminate, the engines rev, 56 laps of racing, and we go green at Watkins Glen. Poor start from Martin Kroenke from third on the grid. He's already jumped by Graham Carroll. It's Mitchell de Jong leading into the first corner. Behind him it is Gregor Hutu. Then it's Carroll into third position. Kroenke, though, has only dropped into fourth. Sebastian Job very close behind. He's actually dropped into sixth, though. Robin Frisco's now into that fifth position. Strong starts as they head over to the carousel into turn 5.
Big moment. Huge moment there, and that was coming up into the S's. I'm really sorry about this one, but it's Jake Sturgis, and I believe one of the guys from Movano.
So a huge incident in the back of the pack here as Hutu had a look there at Mitchell de Jong for the lead. He has not entered that first position. Kroenke also had a look at Graham Carroll, but he's going to maintain the fourth position. So it's all stayed stagnant in this first sector of the racetrack as they run through turn 7. The toe up towards the boot here. Downhill braking zone, Jake, as they fight and form up into position.
Yes, they do. It's line astern. I've seen quite a few two battles down your mid-pack as well. Looking at Ollie Packler here, having a little bit of a look on Mo Garfilo then, trying to go around the outside of turn number 9. It's brave. It's really brave. And I think he's got it. No, he's got a massive wobble. He might just have to yield this one through turn number 10. Answer that one is going to be a massive yes. There, Packler not having everything his own way then, as it seems to me that it's going to be de Jong and Hutu trying to break away at the start of your motor race.
Yeah, Packler was on the dirty line. It just didn't give him a chance to apply the throttle. The end of the first lap by 0.6 of a second ahead of Gregor Hutu, the 5-time world champion. Graham Carroll in P3 as Mo Garfilo off the racetrack there at turn 1. He rejoined safely and he's now down into the 24th position. Oh, horrific as he touched with Ollie Packler into the first corner. Rachel.
Yeah, big incident there, of course. We had another big one on the run-up the S's in the first lap, of course. That was, I believe, Pablo Lopez and Jake Sturgis from Inex Racing. That big problem there, contact. But we had 4 wide into turn 1, 4 wide in the S's. These guys were not messing around, Johnny. This is pretty hardcore racing here. Graham Carroll, though, up into third position. A big move from him. He's looking at the back of Gregor Hutu. This is incredible. He's passed Kroenke. A huge run from Apex. Of course, Job sitting behind them. You've also got behind that Yoni Tamala making moves in P8 now. He's looking at the inside of Michael Dinkel.
Yeah, so Yoni Tamala here. He's very close to Dinkel for P7, but he's not close enough as Yoni Tamala settles in for that 8th position. The gap between Kroenke and Carroll is only 0.3, so let's see if Kroenke can get any closer in these first few laps as DRS will enable for these drivers here. Close and start lap 3 of the event. This is crucial, Jake, though, as Mitchell de Jong leads as he crosses the line for another lap. Hutu still remained within a second, and that is the critical DRS zone we were speaking about.
Absolutely, you find himself running away, and he's not running away enough for Gregor Hutu to be just completely gone here as they head themselves up through the S's. Not quite anything you can do at the moment. It's going to be one of those things which everything is going to be all right, but you can see the gap starting to form at the front, and really, for Joni Tamala there in 8th place, he's going to have a look to the outside now on Michael Dinkel as they head themselves down into the outer loop. It's not going to happen for the moment, but he's going to run out a little bit wide here, so here comes Yoni Tamala here. He's going to have to do it the long way around once again. No, he has to keep waiting here.
He certainly does. He's really all over the back there of Michael Dinkel, right underneath that rear wing, going to the outside for the toe of the boot. Not going to make it done there, but he will get a good run through the corner. Perhaps a run here to the heel of the boot in the lovely looking Inex Racing car there. He's not going to have a line either, so tight battle here for P7, P number 8, plus joined by teammate Jeremy Buklut behind them. Behind that is Marti Piatella in the Coanda car, of course. He's not quite close enough to make anything happen here. But at the front, it's De Jong still leading by 0.8 of a second. Of course, Jake, 0.8 of a second. It's in DRS range, but you need to be really within half a second DRS to really mean a pass.
Absolutely, you have to think that Gregor Hutu has to be within that range. He was that time by 1/10 quicker there. He puts himself firmly within the second, but 0.7 of a second compared to that of half a second. Half a second allows you to close up, 0.7 allows you to maintain. He needs to find more speed, but also something to note here right now is the fact that these trains are starting to form up, and looking back down the field actually, you can see these trains starting to form up. Cam Stark having a look at Davey Decorps then down his back straightaway, but you can see how important these DRS trains are as they head themselves to the outer loop once again, having a little bit of a look.
Yeah, it's as the drivers apply that manual ERS deployment here, and they top end speed across the straight around about 330 kilometers an hour. We saw Hutu gain half a second across that back straight in between turns 4 and 5. Cam Starkey, though, in P23, having a bit of a look at David de Corps into turn 7. Not enough room into the toe as they rise uphill and apply the throttle. A very difficult corner, you can see there, Rachel. You know, you're applying the throttle as you start to steer at the same time. It's very easy to lose traction, but Cam Stark is really trying to be aggressive here in the early stages of the event.
Yeah, it certainly is, Johnny. Of course, that corner, the camber's off, so you're putting power down. The back end really wants to step out. It's a real beast of a corner, probably the hardest one on this track. Put it up there with the Senna S's and the Corkscrew in terms of difficult corners. But, well, they're making it look easy, of course. It's got a good run here and a podium position potentially looking at for Carroll. Martin Kroenke, he's not going to sit down. He's really within range now.
Yeah, we have two DNFs, Pablo Lopez and Jake Sturgis out of the race. And we believe Diogo Oliveira, unfortunately, too, for Positive Sim Racing, may be out of this event too. But the battle for P3 here as Kroenke moves ahead of Graham Carroll, and he enters the podium positions as he will fight towards Hutu and De Jong in P2 and 1 respectively. He has got 1.5 seconds to make up. He's already disposed of Graham Carroll, Jake. Let's see if he can catch up to the top 2.
Well, it's going to be very important that he breaks that half a second when he crosses the line. That is going to be the crucial factor for him to get past Graham Carroll and make sure he doesn't become a nuisance later on in the lap. He's got to find the magic at the moment. The magic hasn't quite shown up. The last time by, he was running similar lap times actually to the leading 2. There, Graham Carroll 2/10 slower. So it just shows you how important everything is as Graham Carroll now starts to worry because he has Friskops and Job for company.
Yeah, Sebastian Job did drop a position at the start, and Friskops claimed that 5th position. But here we go right now, as Carroll is still maintaining within a second of Kroenke. Now, Kroenke is not in DRS range yet, Rachel, and that's a critical point because De Jong and Hutu right now, Hutu is 9/10 behind. Here, he'll flick on that DRS, the rear wing flap will open, and he'll gain around about half a second. He needs to maintain the slipstream. Carroll can do the same on Kroenke, but they're both too far behind to make a pass stick.
Yeah, this is where you'll see the sort of DRS train starting to form, Johnny. Of course, the gap between Hutu and Kroenke means there will not be any gain there. Of course, Kroenke is leading a train with Carroll behind him. Friskops also tagged on the back of that one, as is Sebastian Job. We've got a 4-car DRS train there from 3rd all the way back to P number 6. You want a P2, pulling that gap, that's what I say. The DRS is so powerful that when you have a gap of over a second, it just starts to grow.
Oh, here's Marin Cholak side by side with Oscar Mangan, and they maintain. It's all clean through here on towards the toe, side by side again for another corner as Oscar Mangan tries to apply the throttle. He's still alongside Marin Cholak here for the Orion Racing team. And once again on the run down to the boot, downhill braking zone. Cholak has the rubbered-in braking zone, and Oscar Mangan maintains the line. What bravery there, Jake, from the young Oscar Mangan, and he moves himself up into the 18th position.
Well, what a great defense from Oscar Mangan. He's been trying to hold that line for about half a lap. He was defending down that back straightaway towards the outer loop. They were side by side for half a lap, and he's just shown what sort of class he has. It may only be for P18 at the moment, but you can see how that gap, that battle has gone away from Antoine Higeland and Alex Simpson up ahead. They need to work together to get through. As actually looking behind there, there's David de Corps there and Cam Stark joining this big train. This could be the one where we can see quite a few battles heading up ahead.
Yeah, on that note, Hutu is creating a little bit of a battle here with De Jong for P1. He's 4 tenths behind on the run down to turn 6, the chute. You can see the cambered corner just helping the car traverse through this section of Watkins Glen. Such an iconic racetrack here. It's lap 7 of 56. And Hutu just needs to really stay as close as he can, but the dirty air starts to kick in, Rachel. It seems that the understeer, just with how you set the car up for this circuit, the aero balance you need on that front end, it doesn't help when you're stuck behind another car in front.
Yeah, sure, Johnny. And of course, the big places where you gain are places like the Essex, of course, and run through the carousel. And that's the fast corners where the dirty air really plays a major factor. And the slow speed corners, not as big a problem. High speed corners, though, you just can't quite gain in a corner, even if you're faster than the car in front, because of that dirty overbody aero. And when DRS comes out, you just haven't quite got the run to add to that gain, and you stay in place. This is the DRS train we talk about, of course, and that's what our gap is growing now. It's up to about 2.1 seconds between Hutu and Kroenke. And Hutu, well, he's reeling in Mitchell de Jong. Can he make a pass? Well, we expect he will try, but it's all going to be about whether Kroenke can actually catch up to the back of these two.
Here's Pakula on the run on Michael Dinkel for P10. Dinkel's down the order as the races progress, and Pakula around the outside running into turn 5. Dinkel lets him through. A straightforward move for Team Redline's Ollie Pakula. Does Dinkel fight back? He doesn't have enough momentum, doesn't have the motivation either in that car, but Yuta Saito also very close behind, but he will not make a move stick there, and Dinkel down into 11th. Now we look at the movers through the field here. Dinkel started in 8th, he's down to the 11th position, but the two Apex cars of Martin van Loosenhoorn and Cam Stark, they started in 20th and 26th respectively. They've each moved up 5 positions. Good to see here, Jake, as you know, it's so critical around this racetrack to get yourself out of traffic.
Yes, it is, and well, for Martin van Loosenhoorn, they had a little look on Ilka Happela there as they headed into the hill now, heading themselves now through turn number 9 on circuit, back on to that cup course as they head themselves now in towards 10 and 11, and well, for the time being here, Martin van Loosenhoorn's going to have to stay in the train. Antoine Higeland there for help behind, but he's looking to try and find a way through on Happela, and after Happela is Berryman as well, so it's a very esteemed middle pack of your field right now that you have to deal with. And well, something to note right now, Yuta Saito very close to the back of Michael Dinkel as he falls down the field like a stone.
Yeah, is Dinkel suffering from some sort of ERS issue? That could be the case, or is he suffering from some straight line issues as well, straight line speed issues, as Saito deploys DRS and his ERS through. Lots of energy for the car, and Dinkel should let him through here into turn 5. Past the outer loop, and that is indeed P11 for Yuta Saito. Top 5 in the championship, or top 6, excuse me. And now he's making his way up into the top 10, hopefully. He's got Ollie Pakula next on his list, but it's not going to be the easiest pass, Rachel. We know how consistent Ollie Pakula is. And you know, the last driver you want to be stuck behind is a driver that isn't really phased mentally. So Saito really has his work cut out for him here.
Yes, he certainly does, Johnny, of course. Yuta Saito doing a very good job at the moment, but really needs to start making some spots, of course. He is being chased there by Peter Berryman and that number 69 car behind him. He's making a move, but he just can't quite get up there, of course. In fact, no, Yuta Saito has passed Dinkel. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong car numbers. Unfortunately, I'm scratching my head over timing, but no, Yuta Saito making his moves. He's getting up towards the top 10. I think he could have... Going to require a little attrition. Now we have a very chock-a-block top 10 of big names, so going to be a lot of legwork.
Yeah, the top 10 separated by 8.6 seconds, the top 11 9.7, so under 10 seconds for the top 11 cars here. And is that Sebastian Job having a look at teammate Graham Carroll? Sebastian Job here up the inside, possibly into turn 5. Carroll gives him space, and Sebastian Job maintains the speed, but Carroll has the line into the turn 6 chute, and he cuts in towards Sebastian Job very aggressively. Good fighting here between the two British drivers as they traverse around this racetrack. It's lap 10 of 56. Job did start this race from P5. Carroll started in P4, so both Apex cars here, Jake, have dropped a position each, but it's good to see him fighting because Robin Friskop's up ahead in P4 is also having a great race, and they do not want him to break away.
Absolutely not, and well, you saw the way that they fought into turn number 5. They gave room. They didn't lose too much time in that respect. They've got to be careful, though, that if they do make a small error, if they fight too hard, they'll allow Tamala to come through, they'll allow Jeremy Boussalouk to come through. They will be in a position where they're dropping down the field, and for their championships, they need to fight as much as they can, and they need to be in a position where they catch Friskops. Friskops looking for Kroenke, Hutu all over the back now, within half a second of Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah, let's look at this battle for the lead here on lap 11. Oh, Hutu doesn't maintain the slipstream into the S's. That could have cost him a potential move, but he'll have another attack here as de Jong goes defensive very early, moves back onto the racing line. Hutu with DRS2, but he's a bit too far behind, and de Jong maintains first position, but that's so close there, Rachel, and that could put de Jong under a little bit of pressure in the early stages. That has been the closest Hutu's been to the Coanda Simsport driver in the latter stages of this event so far, and maybe tyre wear's coming into play. That could be part of the reason. Maybe Hutu's just biding his time with these tyres and waiting for that first pit stop, and he's maintaining the grip.
Yeah, it certainly could be, of course, but patience is vital here. Tyre wear can be reasonably high. Of course, first time I've been here in this car, so aside from testing, these guys really won't have had the race length experience of this one, but I think we will be probably looking at a one stop, maybe two. It really wouldn't be any more than 2 stops, I think, for this race, but these guys are going to have to conserve tyres. The ERS could be a problem as well, because there is a real chance you could use most of it up before the end of the lap. It's a bit of a Road America issue, of course. This is a fairly long circuit, but we'll have to see what they can do.
Here's Joni Tormela having a look at Sebastian Job for P6 under braking. Job gives him an ever so slight bit of space, and Tormela gets unsettled on the exit. So tight and so aggressive there from Sebastian Job, but Tormela's going to have another attack here on the back straight past the S's. He's going to flick on DRS, use as much power as possible, up to 330 kilometers an hour for Joni Tormela in that NX racing car, and he will not get close to Sebastian Job. Here we go, Jake, that ERS train once again. They're starting to form up throughout the field, but Tormela close again. He can't make mistakes like that into turn 1. He has to sort of build his speed, but I guess at the same time, I take that back. You know, maybe those DRS trains start to evolve and he can't make a pass onto the back straight, so hats off to Joni Tormela here, trying to make a pass into turn 1.
Yeah, he's trying to be inventive, but it was a little bit of tough love there from Sebastian Job, not giving him one iota into turn number 1. Said, no, that door is shut, that is my move, and that is going to be my 6th position. He's going to be in a position where he needs to fight, needs to keep himself calm, needs to keep himself going, as something's gone on there with Antoine Higeland.
Yeah, Higeland around the outside of Michael Dinkel, who's falling down the order, and Dinkel succumbs to the pressure. So here we go, Dinkel's falling down the order rapidly. Oh, so close to Martin van Loosenhoorn through the second to last corner. Now through the final corner of the racetrack. This will be a candy from a baby move for Martin van Loosenhoorn. Something is going wrong here, Rachel, for Michael Dinkel. He is suffering from a severe lack of pace in the race.
Yeah, he certainly is, and Michael Dinkel really struggling now, as you say. That car dropping back a lot of positions, of course, halfway down the field from where he started. So, probably tyres going off at this stage. Maybe a little too aggressive on his tyres. Really hasn't quite got what he needs to keep that car turned in. It's really corner entry. He seems to struggle.
Yeah, we're almost a quarter of the way through. de Jong will cross the line. That will be 25% of the distance in this event. And he's only half a second in front of Hutu. Now, Hutu did get within a tenth if you're following racespot.tv/timing for your live timing needs. He was very, very close at the end of the back straight, heading into the carousel. And you spoke about it before, Jake. If you're going to be inventive, Tormela was trying to do that before. The back straight may not work due to, you know, the fixed and manual ERS deployment, the DRS trains that evolve too. So you've got to be inventive with the overtaking moves you create.
You have to, really, and well, looking at Gregor Hutu, he's got a one-on-one situation. Martin Kroenke's 2.5 seconds back down the road, his main championship rival. He's in a position where he can go and fight here. de Jong there in that BRS Coanda machine. And well, for Gregor Hutu, he knows what he needs to do. He doesn't exactly like this circuit, but it's the one that reaps the most rewards as he heads himself down the back straightaway. I don't think he might be close enough this time by. It's going to be a stretch at best. Will he close in that gap? Well, you can see just how much that gap closes in, but no, not enough once again. He's got to get a little bit closer.
You know, I feel like the pit stops here, Rachel, is where Hutu might need to start attacking, because if de Jong can just maintain the grip. You can see that the track rubbering in a little bit here. The dynamic track in iRacing is just starting to grip up, but once you start to get off the racing line and start to wear those tires out, which De Jong isn't doing, seems that Hutu might have to wait for the pit stop phase. You know, De Jong got very close on the exit there of turn 7 to the grass.
Yeah, he certainly did, of course. Things getting a little wide, of course. The tyres started to get really, really soft here, really rubbery, and, well, that rubber gets very hot and slick, so pushing the front's definitely an issue here, of course. This has been classically something with the Formula 1 cars, of course, is with the dirty air in one of these trains, of course. You really are wearing those front tyres out. You're trying to turn. The car doesn't want to turn. It hasn't got the grips, so they're sliding. And it's something you have to manage, really.
Jake, some huge news down the order. Anton Hegelen in a little bit of trouble, maybe tapping the wall.
Yes, Martin van Loosen and Antoine Higeland were going side by side then through turn number 6. They were side by side. Van Loosen was on the outside, had a little bit of a love tap with the wall. I don't think there's any damage or anything to race bending from him. He loses gap to Antoine Higeland there. He's losing the train possibly, but he has his team boss, Alex Simpson, behind. That might be something to note as Michael Dinklage is still falling.
It's P1 here, Jake, as Hutu moves up into the lead. It's P1 for Gregor Hutu. De Jong doesn't fight back. Hutu gives him space. He's on that dirty line through turn 6. And now he has indeed claimed the lead. Does De Jong fight back under braking? And Hutu has it. He's claimed the lead. What a move from Gregor Hutu there at the end of the back straight. He has moved himself up into the first position. And De Jong has moved down to second for Quanta Simsport. His teammate Kroenke in third. And this is so critical here, Jake, for Mitchell de Jong. He has to maintain speed. And if he can claim a move or fight back on Hutu this next time around on the back straight.
Absolutely, he has to get there, he has to fight, but don't count out Martin Kroenke. He was 2/10 quicker that lap by. He pulls the gap down to 2.2. Within the next 10 laps, he could possibly be within range here. Hutu trying to break away. What's the gap? Stigmas line answer to that one is a very firm 6/10. So Hutu has broken away at the moment from Mitchell de Jong just for the time being.
Yeah, this is a good experiment, Rachel, to see how much time Hutu actually lost in dirty air, possibly. But on that note, de Jong could gain another half a second here as he flicks on DRS on the back straight. Into the slipstream, there's no straight line speed for that Quanta Simsport car. Maybe some ERS issues too with the power on that car. Is he suffering from a lack of power? That could be a dilemma they're facing here. Maybe that could be the case for Michael Dinkel too, who's fallen down to 18th in the event.
Yeah, something's definitely changed, of course, because Mitchell de Jong cannot hold on. Gregor Hutu has obviously been saving a lot of his car, Johnny, in this one. He's managed to keep that car in very good trim, and he pulls away now by a good margin. It's honestly incredible to see this. He is just ploughing onwards. We know Hutu is king of the Glen. He's showing us exactly why.
So Hutu now has broken away from de Jong by over a second. So de Jong is out of DRS range as they drive past turn 10, cambered left-hander, set yourself up into turn 11. You know, it's such a famous racetrack, Rachel, too, for NASCAR, and we know iRacing has a lot of experience with the NASCAR, and they run the Peak Antifreeze series too. This could be a possible racetrack where you could put and pit the two series together in an all-star race. I suggested it last round. I was half joking, but this is such a great racetrack for overtaking, and it's proven that today.
It certainly is, but again, it's also a pretty difficult track for overtaking in these Formula cars. Because there's so much dirty air, because a lot of these slower corners don't have the run, and because there's so many long straights. You end up with these long trains, Johnny, and it really just ends bunging things up. So, tricky track for this. Really a driving challenge, but passing just really kind of rare. So, I mean, you've seen the gap here, it's drastic now. Mitchell de Jong has plummeted. In fact, Martin Kroenke is catching him already, so major issues there for Mitchell de Jong. We'll have to try and find out from Co-Anderson what is happening to that number 24 car.
Yeah, did he use too much ERS power to maintain the lead? That's a big question. At the same time here, Carroll's gotten past Friskops for P4, but here's a train evolving again from P4 to P7. It's Carroll, Friskops, Job, Tormula, then you have Bootloop behind, Piatella, and then Pakala rounding out this group. This is where those DRS trains start to come out, Jake, as Tormula just cannot get past Sebastian Job. He seems to have the pace and the race pace, and this is what poor qualifying does for you. This could be his first race finish today, bar any incidents he may be involved in. This could be his...
It could be, and well, he has the pace to be a race winner. We've seen him win twice already this season, but when he hasn't had the race win, he's been out of the race, and that is why he is down the order in the championship and almost out of contention for the title.
Second.
Go ahead.
Yep. Apologies there, Jake. Kroenke moves up into P2, straight past Mitchell de Jong for that second position, and there we go.
I'm going to argue back at you there because it looks like Sebastian Job's going through and Robin Friscop's here around the outside. No, doesn't quite materialise.
Oh, Sebastian Job, so brave in that Apex Racing UK car, but Friscops is a tough cookie to break. And Job now has to defend from Joni Tormela, so this is a difficult situation, Rachel, where you're trying to fight, you're trying to defend at the same time. This is where talent is really at its finest.
Yeah, it certainly is, of course. This is a real train we're looking at here, of course, headed up by the driver of Graham Carroll there. Robin Friscop's looking at him, whilst behind him is Sebastian Joe trying to defend from Tormela. But Tormela, well, he's got Jeremy Bootlick behind him as well, so this is far from over. Marty Piatella, Ollie Bacala are also involved in this one as well, so this is a huge train from P10 all the way up to P number 4, Johnny. So a lot of your top 10 cars are in this one, in fact most of them, apart from, of course, Martin Kroenke, Mitchell de Jong and Gregor Houtu.
Yeah, so such an entertaining race. What a cracking race here today, as Houtu does lead by 2.2 seconds ahead of Martin Kroenke on lap 19 of the event, and it's Mitchell de Jong in P3, 3 seconds behind the leader. Carroll, Friscops, Job, Tormela. This battle here for P4 to 7. They're about 7 seconds behind. Tormela is to Gregor Houtu, the leader. Bootlick and Piatella not too far behind that group too. They're 8.5 seconds behind, and then Pacala rounds out the top 10. He has 4 seconds of space behind him to Yuta Saito, who is very, very close to Peter Berryman for P11. Excuse me, Berryman is in P11, so Berryman has made a move on Yuta Saito for that 11th position. So Peter Berryman, your P5 in the championship, Jake, he's just absolutely amazing in this series. He's shown his talent in the Pro Series. Once again, he has shown it can translate to the World Championship and the new car.
It absolutely can there, as Yuta Saito runs himself a little bit wide actually. That's going to allow Ilkka Happila here to close that gap right down. And well, for Ilkka Happila, he needs to find a very good result. He is so underrated. He gets the finishes that he needs. He scores the points that he wants. So does Saito, so does Berryman. So these are the highwaymen. These are the guys who are looking to try and push themselves up through the field. But right now, they've just got to work here. They're in their own little battle, their own little world, here to push themselves along, because this massive train is coming up along. And well, Sebastian Job once again is going to be right under threat from Joni Tormela.
Yeah, I thought Tormela was going to have a look there into the first corner, but look at the run he has here on the exit. Applies the throttle early. This is the closest he's been in quite a while to the British driver. He's going to flick on DRS as he crosses the line now, and this could be a straightforward pass for Tormela, but Sebastian Job has the straight line speed. Tormela is alongside him into turn 5, and he goes up into the 6th position. As he runs too wide into the corner, Job fights back here on the grippy side. Side by side into turn 6, almost a bit of a tap between the two, and Job does indeed lose the position. He's down into P7. Tormela finally gets past on lap 20 of the event, Rachel.
Yeah, he certainly does, and well, Tormela is really further back than we'd expect, Johnny, at this stage. We thought he would be further towards the front of this one. He's had some stellar races this season, but really struggling in this middle part of the race. A couple of DNFs have really hurt his championship charge, but P7, is this where we expected him on lap 20 at Watkins Glen? I don't really think so.
Yeah, so dilemma to face there. You know, Tormela's straight line speed was amazing, because Apex has some pretty good straight line speed at this circuit. You know, Tormela went around as he runs off the tractor at the final corner. That was quite air racing for him, but he keeps it all together. Up to 345 kilometers an hour with ERS deployment and DRS2. That's pretty scary, Jake. Around Watkins Glen with this Honda power unit, the McLaren MP430. That's amazing straight line speed. Low drag too for that NX racing car. You know, I'm surprised now he's got his teammate up next. Will Robin let himself through?
Well, it's a question that does need to be asked here. Robin Friscop's an equally quick driver in his own right, so they might race fairly, they might have a good battle. Hopefully no dirty tactics will be involved, but Graham Carroll will be the main focus here for them as they will chase down Apex Racing here. Tormela, he knows he's got to put the hammer down. He's already up 3 positions. He is one of the biggest movers and shakers in your top 10 at the moment, and well, he can be in a position where he starts to push. But go back to Gregor Hutu. He's putting the hammer down now because he is faster, about 2/10 a lap, than Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, and Bootloop right now is 2/10 behind Sebastian Job for P7. So is Job suffering from the same issues De Jong might be facing with his ERS deployment? That could be a dilemma that the young man is facing. It's lap 21 of 56, so that one stop window, open to some of the teams. They believe around about lap 21 to 35. It's a wide window for any one-stoppers in this event. But, you know, certainly at this stage of the race, with no one really making a pit stop in the field, apart from some damage and a couple of drivers down the order, it is a one-stop for most of these drivers here, Rachel, as expected.
Yes, we thought maybe 2 stops with aggressive tyre wear, Johnny, but it does seem like drivers are going for 1 stop, which means after that early push, we're now into a phase of conservation. Guys are going to have to really pull back, really make sure they keep these tyres alive, of course. The second stint, once we get guys pitting, of course, will be critical. They'll have to make sure they do not run as hard early on if they want to have something left towards the end.
That was Jeremy Bootloop straight past Sebastian Job for P7. And Job does not have the grit to fight back. I just don't think he has the power in that car either. Or maybe he just doesn't have the power. I'm sure he is. He's very feisty in that car as usual. But for right now, it's Bootloop into P7. Good to see him, Jay. Jeremy Bootloop, who struggled this season, he's finally back up to where we sort of wanted him to be in terms of potential. He's really starting to show where he ended the season last year with that podium. Now he's got P7 on his hands. Can he maybe pass the 2 Inex racing cars? Pit stop is possible in the pits phase, actually, if he gets the undercut.
It's most certainly possible, but right now he's got to remember that Joni Tamala is actually running round about the leader's pace at the moment as they head themselves into the 90, turn number 1 right now. And well, you've got to look at what's happened with Sebastian Job. He was half a second a lap slower last time by. He has the potential to go do it again, but right now it's just going to be a waiting game as lap traffic starts to come into effect.
Yeah, so let's see where they all feed out. As Bootloop does pass the lap car there, moving straight off the racing line too. And at Friskops and Tormler at the moment, they're within a second of each other and within a second of Graham Carroll and Mitchell de Jong last time around, a 1 minute 22.333. Identical lap times to Hutu. I'm pretty sure, Rachel, now Mitchell de Jong has eliminated any ERS issues he's had. So right now he's back onto the pace as the same pace as Gregor Hutu, the leader.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that's going to be really interesting to see what can happen here, but the gaps are fairly static, and that's what's really kind of catching me here, of course, is Gregor Hutu saved so much sitting back there. He saved a huge amount of his tyres and his pace, and it just seems like he's cleared off into the sunset. He's gone, and this is what perhaps I hoped wouldn't happen here today. I thought we might have a real challenge for the throne, but, oh, King Gregor has stamped his authority down, and he's off.
Yeah, so let's see if Gregor Hutu can maintain this. He's won every race here. What a absolute phenomenal driver. He's won every single championship too, except for 2011. Hugo Luis obviously won that championship, but no one else has claimed the winners list. Can Kroenke do that this year? And we mentioned it before in the broadcast, Jake, how Kroenke has only taken a maximum of 3 wins in his 2 seasons in the World Championship, 2014 and 2015. He already has 2 this early on. You know, you don't have to count him out. It was a close finish last year, or last time out here at Watkins Glen. If Kroenke can just sustain some good pace and make a strategy work, you know, it's a possibility that he might or could pit a couple laps later than Hutu. The only issue is he doesn't want to be passed by his teammate Mitchell de Jong.
Well, that's certainly the problem that he is facing right now. They're probably tapping away at the numbers, thinking that Mitchell de Jong could have an option. So good Martin Kroenke last time by. Lap times almost identical. 22.6 for de Jong, 22.5 there for Martin Kroenke. So it just shows you just how important it is to stay within that train right now as well. You look at this one and you see just how quickly Gregor Hutu is getting away. This race is very quickly becoming a race over here as Robin Friskops actually incredibly close with Joni Tamala. Tamala might have a look into turn number 1. No, won't happen. He'll have to rely on that DRS train coming up, but it's going to be one risk, maybe too many.
Yeah, track temp now at 44 degrees, so I'm surprised some of these drivers haven't actually entered their pit box for a new fresh set of rubber, as Tormula so close behind Robin Friskops, who make his way past his teammate into the top 5, and he does. What a move by Joni Tormula. Straightforward for him here on lap 25. Coming towards that first pit stop. Up next on the list is Graham Carroll. Carroll's had a great race too, Rachel. Yeah, and I keep saying it because it's just different seeing some of these guys up the order. They've mastered this car already in the early parts. They've done the hard work. They've learnt what they've had to do. Now they just need to finish the races and stay out of trouble, really.
Yeah, certainly. You really want to make sure you have a good, safe race in this one because it can go wrong so quickly for you. And staying out of trouble, well, that's half of the recipe.
As Hutu sets a 1 minute 22 last time around. 1 minute 22.2. And we look at drivers who have pitted down the order. Paul Ilbrink's pitted at 1 minute 21.9, so he's faster than the leaders. So certainly at this stage, pit stops could to once again 4/10 quicker than the two Coanda SimSport drivers. That was his 11th led lap of the event. Pakala behind, fastest man on the racetrack, a 1 minute 21.9. As we look at Peter Berryman and Sebastian Job, they both entered the pit lane. They'll search for their pit box here, Jake, and it's going to be very crucial as to where they feed out. Do they avoid the traffic?
That is going to be the question that needs to be asked. Sebastian Job coming out of pit lane right now, and he will get himself a breath of fresh air, it seems. Will he? No. He's got Jonas Nukarainen up ahead, and so does Maran Cholak, who's actually dropped down the order, surprisingly, there. He was running himself up a little bit higher than he was, but now he's back down in 20th position. But something to note right now is Ilkka Happala. He has dropped completely off. Well, actually, Martin Piatella, I do apologise. He's dropped off of Olli Pakala by quite a bit over the last couple of laps. 1:21.9 compares to a 1:23.2. That's 1.4 seconds as he runs another corner extremely wide.
Yeah.
He's struggling on his tyres.
Yeah, I think he needs to, as Anton Eglin runs off the racetrack too. So drivers starting to struggle at this stage of the race. Piatella right now, does he enter his pit box? That's a critical factor. We look at the leaders right now. That's Graham Carroll entering the pits. So Carroll enters for the Apex Racing UK team. Pakala into the pits. Piatella too, as they wait for fresh rubber. Oh, such a good feeling, Rachel, and a good time to get a small break for themselves. A very long pit lane. A lost time of around about 25 to 35 seconds. So as the drivers drive past on that main straight around about 300 kilometers an hour, you want to make this pit stop lost time as minimal as possible.
Yeah, certainly, of course. It's also very tempting to come out of the pit road after you've been conserving tyres, running on old tyres for so long. Come out and almost underdrive the car because you have fresh tyres and you can finally push again. But always a bad thing, of course, because it means you run the car in much gentler fashion. You're not pushing as hard. The tyres will last longer for a second stint, so you'll maintain a better pace. But as things stand, of course, we have to look at Job in P13, and he's dropped down a few positions, not just David Decor. In P13, he's chasing Danny Garcia Filiol in the Movano car ahead of him. Really can't quite get up there, so the Iberica car, I apologise, is chasing as hard as he can. Bit of a pass here as they approach the top 10.
Yeah, so Job and Carroll. Carroll in P11 right now. Effectively, that's fourth on the racetrack. Now, Job's pit stop at the moment, it could be critical as to whether he jumps himself up into that fifth position, Jake. You know, the undercut can work as Mitchell de Jong enters the pit lane for Coanda SimSport. And he searches for his box. But I spoke about it before as we watch Mitchell de Jong. You know, the thing here is that if Sebastian Job moves into the fifth position, another pit party for another round, he could find himself, you know, undercutting a few drivers, but having a lack of grip come the end of the event.
Oh, yes, definitely. You can see them coming out of pit lane right now. Well, for Sebastian Job and Graham Carroll, they need to try and find their place here. Sebastian Job is going to have a run here on, I believe, that is Robin Friskops. They're going to be side by side up through turns 2, 3 and 4. And well, for Robin Friskops, he is in a world of trouble right now. Job has his tyres 1 lap fresher, or 2 laps fresher even, as he looks to try and get in that slipstream. Can he move to the inside? No, it's blocked. He'll have to do it the long way around here. Will Sebastian Job into turn number 5. He's not going to get the move sorted. Great defending there from Robin Friskops. He made sure that he protected Joni Tamala there, who is a lot closer to Graham Carroll than he thought.
Such a late move there from Robin Friskops defending. It was on the bubble. but it's all legal, and Job was very, very confused. You could see him swerving a little bit, just hesitant in where to make the move. But, you know, as Gregor Hutu enters the pit lane now, the leader of the event, finally into the pit box. Does Kroenke enter the pits? This is a critical factor. Kroenke does indeed enter the pit. So Martin Kroenke and Gregor Hutu now both in the pit lane. This is crucial, Rachel, where Mitchell de Jong feeds out, or where these guys feed out in relation to Mitchell de Jong.
It certainly will be, Johnny. Of course, Hutu in the number 2 pit box there, getting his service complete. He's down, out and away before Martin Kroenke even arrived in his pit box. So this is huge. Just such a gap for Hutu. 6 seconds was everything. Mitchell de Jong will go past.
Yeah, so there you go. Mitchell de Jong up into P2, but he's got 4.4 seconds to make up on Hutu. That's not going to happen anytime soon. We've already crossed 50% of the distance in this event, lap 29 and 56. So down the order we see Hutu, de Jong, Kroenke. Then it's Carroll, Tomola. Here's Sebastian Job though. Run for P6 around the outside of Robin Friskops into turn 5. Oh, contact is made and Job is into the wall. And that's his race all but over for Sebastian Job. High speed incident into the outer loop. Oh, absolutely heartbreaking for the Apex Racing UK team. And Sebastian Job here, Jake, who needed such a great result. As we look at the replay on the screen, what an absolute horrific accident for the young man.
Well, he tried to squeeze there Robin Friskops, and he just almost got his... Look, the tag on the rear wheel. There's nothing Robin Friskops could have done in that situation. Sebastian Job has only himself to blame there for squeezing too much. You could argue a racing incident, but I believe Sebastian Job there has thrown away a fantastic opportunity by his standards.
Just to throw my arm in that one, Johnny. Whilst Job did pinch down on... onto, of course, the car of Robin Friskops there. Robin Friskops didn't quite take the inside line there. He was of course, he was tucked in, but he wasn't as close to the curb as we might expect, or Job might have expected him to take, of course. Biggest problem with that corner, too wide, is it's off camber halfway across that track. So the first half you have camber in your favour, but about halfway along that corner outwards, it drops away. So you both need to hold very tight to the inside, and I think Job might have expected Friskops to be a little tighter.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you make, Rachel, because you look as well at the turning point for Robin Friskops. He's on the inside line as Anton Higlin here and Paul Ulbrink battle. Paul Ulbrink is very, very close to Higlin, but he can't make a move. But you look at the line that Friskops took into the corner. Oh, excuse me, actually, Higlin did make his way up into P13. Friskops turned in on a dirty part of the racing line. There was no rubber there. So it just, you know, really, for Robin Friskops, is there anything else he could have done there, Rachel? Because he didn't have the grip to turn into the corner, and he was on that inside line defending. So it's a very questionable decision for the stewards to make there.
It certainly is, Johnny, of course. And it's a really, really tricky thing, of course. I think racing incident is all we can call that. Really no blame or malice on either party. One of those unfortunate occurrences, really.
Yeah, if only Sebastian Job was watching. Anyway, you look at the battle for the lead here. Hutu leads by 4.8 seconds. And he's got that lead comfortable for himself right now on lap 31 of the event. Mitchell de Jong is in P2. 5 seconds behind, as we mentioned. Kroenke third. But Ollie Pakala right now in that 6th position. He's made his way past Robin Friskops, who's falling down the order. Another driver who could be suffering from some ERS issues. Friskops down to P7. In between them, it's Carroll and Tomola now. So Tomola up into the top 5. Then it's Jeremy Bootloop 8. Piatello and Berryman round out the top 10. Then it's Ilkka Haapala in P11. Saito 7/10 behind him. Higlin and Mangan in P13 and 14. Paul Ulbrink, we just saw before, being passed by Higlin and now Oscar Mangan. He's down into the 15th position. Van Loosenhoorn, his progress has been halted this race. We thought he'd make his way up a little bit quicker than he has, but he's still up into P16 and maintaining his pace. But we look at the DNFs in this event. Pablo Lopez on the first lap, Jake Sturgios 2, Diogo Oliveira, Dion Verges, Jorge Montañez entering the pit lane, and then Sebastian Job, most recently we saw at the outer loop around the outside. As Tomo Meglic right now, he's incredibly close to the driver of Cam Stark, that is. excuse me.
there, Johnny, and it's a comfortable move there for Tomo Meglic. He finds himself through, and really for Tomo Meglic, it's not been the race he's wanted. Started 32nd, he's up 11 positions right now, and he's looking to push himself further on in the race.
So there's lap 32 of 56. There's 24 laps remaining in this event. What do you do, Rachel, if you're in Mitchell de Jong's perspective? You push as hard as you can, or do you take less risks and just maintain that P2 position?
I think right now there's really no chance of catching Gregor Hutsu, of course. Mitchell de Jong pushing pretty quickly here on fresh tyres. That car is going really well. But we saw in that first stint, of course, he drops off really badly, Johnny, on the tyres. His teammate Martin Kroenke, he could run further. Gap back down to 5 seconds between themselves and Hutsu, but I don't think anyone can catch the master. I think 5 seconds is a gap that is insurmountable now.
Yeah, it's good. It's a huge gap to make up, especially at Watkins Glen. You know, this is a circuit, Jake, renowned and not many braking zones on the racetrack, and that's very, very similar to Silverstone, which is next on the calendar for round 7 in 2 weeks' time. But you know, a racetrack you see here at turn 1 where Joni Tomela's just crossed past as he tries to fight with Graham Carroll. The next real braking point is at turn 6 as the drivers just release the throttle for turn 5. Here's Martin van Loosenhoort around the outside of Paul Ilbrink. Ilbrink lets him through. I think Ilbrink is also suffering from some issues here.
Yes, and as you say that, Joni Tomala's actually through on Graham Carroll. He's up to P number 4. So the man on the moment here, Joni Tomala, he finds himself through now. And you can say that ERS is difficult to recover. You're running out of braking zones, and Silverstone will be another one to get that. It will be one of these races where you have to look about it, have to make sure that it all gets on. And well, absolutely, you have to say that everyone is just looking to get to the end right now. There's quite a few guys struggling with ERS.
Yeah, those bugs are coming in, those issues. Maybe it's management too. Some drivers may not have any speed in terms of management, so that could be a dilemma some drivers could face. So right now, Jeremy Bootloop in P8. He's 4 tenths behind Friskops. Now Friskops has dropped down the order, Rachel, and that could be a bit of an attack here for Bootloop that's looming. Can he make a run on Friskops on the back straight? He has to get a great run out of the final corner, which he does, and then turn 1 is critical on towards the back straight.
Yeah, it certainly is. Of course, you have to get the biggest run you can through turn 1. That sets you up for the S's, of course. The S's are critical. Get that good run to the top, and you can keep a great amount of speed down the main straight. Through the carousel, of course. Run down into the boot. The boot is the tricky part. You balance all your lap time with corner speed, and you get a great run to the final 2 corners and across the start-finish line. Big emphasis on corner exit here at Watkins Glen. There are so many straights.
Yeah, so very critical, Jake, as well. The straights here, we saw turn 1's a good overtaking spot. Turn 5 too. You know what? Turn 6 has been you know, we saw Oscar Mangan earlier battling side by side. It's a very brave section of the racetrack, turn 6. We've seen so many incidents through here. We saw turn 7 too last year, which Rachel mentioned with Alexei Usiakala, who isn't racing here today, but he does have a World Championship license. It's a very iconic racetrack, this, and it's really just built for beautiful racing, you could say.
Oh, definitely, you can say it's built for beautiful racing. We've seen quite a few beautiful overtakes here today. We've seen a few instances. We've seen Van Loosenhoort tap the barriers there. And well, for Yuta Saito right now, he is right behind Ilkka Haapala right now. Battle for 11th on circuit. I think Yuta Saito might not be close enough this lap by, but there might be an opportunity further on in the race as well. You're starting to see the trains here. They are in full effect. Nobody really in a position to make a move, especially Mitchell de Jong as he looks to get past Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, Kroenke just set the fastest lap of the event. A 1 minute 20.4 as he passed Mitchell de Jong. So he's now into P2. He was 6 tenths faster than Hutu. So DRS and a bit of ERS2 coming into play. You know, de Jong, despite being passed, still maintains similar lap times to all the rest of the drivers behind in the top 10. So that's incredible pace here from the top 3. So at the moment, Rachel, it seems that Hutu's almost locked in the lead. Kroenke and de Jong have the podium locked out, depending on how their positions evolve throughout this event. Then it's a real big battle for P4 here between Tomala and Carroll.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Tomala and Carroll having a good run in this one, but Joni Tomala really starting to pull away a little bit. He did at the end of last run too. It's gotten quite quiet for those guys, in fact, and well, they're only 4 seconds back from Mitchell de Jong. If Mitchell's tyres go off again, Johnny, this could be a critical one because Joni Tomala could sneak a podium.
Yeah, that would be crucial for Yoni, who needs to make up a lot of points in this championship. Where's Yuta Saito, by the way? He's down in P12. Peter Berryman's in P10, so some big names there who need some good points to maintain their top 10 position in the championship. Umashima not racing today. Down the order as well, Dinkle stayed stagnant in P18 after his poor start. You know, maybe he was facing those ERS issues too, Jake. I know it's been a constant annoying topic of the day here, but it's just constantly been showing up to all these drivers, and for some of them it's just, you know, it's bad luck. But I guess that's motor racing too. You know, you're going to suffer with bad luck, and at the end of the day, you're just going to have to fight with it and just keep racing on.
Well, you have to prepare as best as you can, and well, for the likes of Michael Dinkle, another driver who's been struggling is Mogar Filio as well, down 14 positions. You have to really say that you have to prepare everything in every part of your race. You have to prepare the ERS, you have to prepare your tyre strategy, your pit stop window, everything all about that. But for some drivers, they do have fantastic qualifyings, but just can't back it up in the race. I don't think I've actually seen a race where Mogar Filio has actually gone and gained positions in my short career as a commentator. So for Mogar Filio, he's got to work on his race pace, and everyone's got to work on more than just one area. You can't just do exactly what you're good at, you can do exactly that's good at other areas.
Well, you just saw Martin van Loosnord and Oscar Mangan, two teammates, at turn 5 there, Rachel. That was incredible stuff. How did Mangan even maintain the car in a straight line? Some great racing from the both of them, but the contact wasn't good. Apart from that, the car control was from both of them.
Well, you shouldn't have to have car control like that, of course, when you're with your teammate. And, yeah, Mangan and Van Loosnord having a bit of a moment there, but yeah, some awesome car control. But masterclass we did not need to view, as Martin Van Loosnord here looks to try and have another go at Oscar Mangan. Perhaps they've realised, not looking at a top 10, let's go racing.
Yeah, so these drivers right now, they're in P14 and 15. Not all the cars lapped at the moment. Emil Henriksen's a minute 3 behind. But here's Martin van Loosnord, round 2. This is a straightforward move this time around. Move straight over to the other side of the racetrack to make it a safe move there. And that is Martin van Loosnord up into P14. Some good fun there between the two. But after that, surely they just got away, Jake, with quite possibly one of the most hair-raising moments of the season for this team.
Well, you can get away with murder, but right now Martin van Loosnord is in a situation where he's having a little bit of a look with Oscar Mangan. He's through on Mangan. He's done exactly what he needed to do. He put himself through in that situation, and he now needs to just focus here. He's got a real massive gap to his teammate Antoine Higeland up down the road. Nothing really he can do about that one. He's just got to stay focused and drive time trial to the end of the race.
Yeah, so that end of the race is coming very, very soon in 18 laps time. It's lap 38 of 56 in this event. Don't forget, you can follow this event on racespot.tv/timing for the remaining laps in this event. Gregor Hutu leads by 5.7 seconds ahead of Coanda Simsport's Martin Kroenke. His teammate Mitchell de Jong is right behind, and it's Inex Racing's Yoni Tomla in P4. Graham Carroll for Apex Racing UK, who has had a remarkable race. He's in that 5th position, obviously. Ollie Pakala 6th. Then it is Robin Friscops, Jeremy Bootloop, Marty Piatello, and Peter Berryman who round out the top 10. You know, Rachel, Marty Piatello, who's had an up and down roller coaster season. It's good to see him back up where he should be in the top 10.
It certainly is, and Marty Piatello having a good run now. He's, of course, benefited from a few moments from other drivers, but a Team Redline car, which is ironically green, weaving its way back up into its natural environment inside that top 10. Last week was pretty disappointing for him, and qualifying here uncharacteristically slow with a P12, 117.707 for him. Well, he's running up in P6 now, doing a great job.
Yeah, Pakula, so he's made his way up through the field, and he's just biding his time for this race to end. You know what, Rachel, as well, that the boring race that Pakula had last time out, he had the ERS issues as well. This has sort of had a bit more fun for him, a bit more motivation for Ollie as he wraps around the middle section of the racetrack. So right now, you know, we spoke about what he could do this season. For Dom Doohan as team boss, you shouldn't have to force a driver to keep working hard or keep pushing him harder. You know, it's up to Ollie's desire to win. And we know Ollie has a desire to win, but it's just that it's been a while since he's won a race, since 2014, and we don't want to see him go another year without a race win.
Yeah, certainly not, and it's looking like it is that way at the moment, unfortunately, and there's too many guys who are strong at the moment in dominant fashion. Hutu, Kroenke, de Jong, Tamala, all very strong drivers. We think he could do it, but it's really disappointed he hasn't so far this season. Last season was a stellar year for him, of course, coming on from Glacier Racing previously, and himself and Alexi Yusiakola both dominated early on, so really need to see them get back in the victory lane.
Yeah, and there we saw Michael Dinkel too, passing Paul Ulbrich for 17th position. There we go, Jake. A nice move for Michael Dinkel, who's had a race to forget, really, and we're not sure. We'll speak after the race, hopefully, to Michael in private. At least I will. Find out whether it was some sort of ERS issue or something like that, where he just couldn't control it, because it's very horrific to see. It reminds you of Mogar Filio's poor races this year. He's had another poor race again today, but Mogar Filio's qualified so well, and he's really had poor races. Dinkel's always been the opposite. Then he qualifies well today, in the top 10, then for some reason he just drops down the field. It seems very, very confusing. Most likely had to be a mechanical issue, you could say.
Well, you could argue that it's been a difficult race for quite a few drivers up and down your field at the moment, and well, it's all about finding that balance, as I've said previously, and well, for Michael Dinkel, it's not been his day. He's just got to move on and hope that he gets even better on later on down the field. But there are some battles that aren't over with about 17 to go here. You look at Graham Carroll, you look at Joni Tormala. Well, Graham Carroll's not got away. And well, don't forget the battle for second going on, because Mitchell de Jong's not gone away from Martin Kroenke right now. Kroenke is still there.
Yeah, Kroenke's in P2. De Jong's still in DRS range of his teammate. You can see the rubbered line on the racetrack starting to grip up as you travel through the corners here. Michael Dinkel having a look at team boss of Apex Racing UK, Alex Simpson, for P16. And then right now as well, Rachel, that line that's rubbering up. We saw it in Suzuka last year for the first time. Very interesting in qualifying. But, yeah, at the same time here, Jake, you see it's so crucial in terms of an overtaking move. Into the first couple of corners, maybe into turn 5, and we saw before with Friskops, he turned into the corner, the car started to slide away from him, tyres overheating at the same time, and it turns out to be an incident. So the dynamic track really has a big factor to play in iRacing.
It certainly does, and where you look at it being in these trains all the time, it does you no favours there being in the dirty air. Your tyres get a little bit more wear on them compared to someone else, but you do save that fuel, which you don't normally see if you're running at the front of the pack. You look at Ollie Packle, who ran around the back of the pack to start with, but now he's up at the front and he's using more fuel than, say, Friskops is, and all day long he's going to be certainly having fuel to burn towards the end of the race. And well, it's not over for many of these guys, as I say that, Graham Carroll seemingly has dropped off of Joni Tamala.
Yeah, Carroll now, he'll go across the front straight, begin another lap in this event. He throws the car into the first corner. You really have to clip that first apex. Runs off the racetrack, back on. That is legal in this event. Now, Silverstone next week out. If you are Martin Kroenke and Mitchell de Jong, Jake, what do you do in terms of practice? You definitely have the same motivation. You have the desire to win as usual, but what can you do differently in the practice in the leading 2 weeks? Do you have to test harder? Do you have to find some sort of option here, as Saito is very, very close to Ilkka Haapala, but a bit too far behind?
Yes, definitely. Well, if you are looking to try and practice for Silverstone, the problem that Coanda have is that they have two #1 drivers. They are in a situation where you don't know who to push, who to give favouritism to, or if anything, they might just push them and say, both of you go try and win the championship, both of you go try and beat Gregor Hutu. Do the best that you can. Run those long stints, run those short qualifying stints as well. Make sure you're practicing pit lane, make sure you're practicing entries and exits and what have you, and just make sure that everything goes on that you need to do. Make sure that practice is perfect for Silverstone, and make sure that you get away with at least a podium finish.
Yeah, you need that at Silverstone. And maybe what can Sebastian Job do? With the DNF today, they did not finish. Last year, he had such a topsy-turvy event at Silverstone. Maybe this time out at his virtual home event, he can capitalize on possibly his first race win, maybe a podium. Lots of other drivers down the field also searching for that. See if Kazuki Mishima returns as well next round. But his Japanese compatriot Yuta Saito here on the exit of turn 1 gets a great run. He'll stay in the slipstream and maintain that straight line through the S's, straight lining it as much as possible. He's oh so close to Ilkka Haapala here. Flicks on the DRS as he enters the zone. He just doesn't have the straight line speed or the ERS power as Haapala seems to break away. And he's too far behind into turn 5. So here we go, Jake. This is Ilkka Haapala, who's managed his mechanical components of his car a little bit better than Yuta Saito. Saito doesn't have the straight line speed or the ERS deployment at this stage of the race to make a move.
But can you argue the other way that maybe Yuta Saito is just waiting out this game right now? He would possibly be waiting to try and make sure that he can get that move later on. Of course, the game of cat and mouse, it starts to play with 15 to go. And going back here, you saw Umeshima actually in the Formula Renault 2.0s on Sunday. You saw how good he was in cold conditions. If cold conditions come to play and Umeshima's in the party, he'll be certainly one to look out for when races come along. But right now, Gregor Hutu, the man to beat at Watkins Glen once again.
Yeah, talking about Umeshima, I wasn't going to bring it up, but you look at Montreal 2014. Actually, on that note, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Martin van Loosenhoorn's got some severe issues. Look at that. He can't even maintain the car in a straight line. He's got severe damage on that Apex Racing UK car. Lots of nose cone damage, and he seems to have struggled. He's just on the exit there of turn 8, the boot. He's applied the throttle, the rear end stepped away, and he's damaged the front end. Those tires have just overheated significantly. And Rachel, right there, Martin van Loosenhoorn has just ended such a promising event. As we enter lap 44.56. You know, Jake, Martin right now, he's spun. He's making his way back up through the order. And he's just sort of kept his cool as he hasn't even entered the pit stops. He's just maintained his tyre life. I don't understand what's going on here. Before, he couldn't even keep the car in a straight line with that damage. Now it just seems that if you be patient and the car maintains a little bit of throttle, sorry, a little bit of, as the tyres reduce their temperature, it just seems that the tyre seems to sort of get back into your favour as the race progresses.
Yes, certainly. You don't want the tyres to start blistering on you later on in the race. We saw him make the instant there down at turn number 8, and he just got a little bit hot-headed. He had to turn the car around, which lighted up the tyres and the temperatures. And when he got to turn 9, he couldn't turn the car. But now he's got it now into a groove, back into its operating window. You can see that that front wing damage isn't doing too much right now for Martin van Loosenhoorn. He'll look to try and chase back to Davy de Corps here later on in this race for 21st position. But just right now, he's in a position where he needs to fight.
Yeah, Saito trying to fight here with Ilkka Haapala, and you know, Rachel, for Yuta Saito, who's had such a great season, this 12th position isn't really a bad result for him. He should be pleased with this event so far, because Watkins Glen is that sort of racetrack where, you know, if you're a late breaker type driver such as Yuta Saito, if you're good at that part of the aspect of your racing, it's not really going to show up too much at Watkins Glen, where, you know, there's not many braking points on this circuit.
Yeah. Thing, and it's going to really make sure this, well, it's one of these races that we can almost predict every single year. Because it's such a very simple racetrack, of course, it has its trouble spots, and they will really challenge the drivers themselves, but like we said, passing is troublesome. When we go to somewhere like Silverstone, of course, much easier, but the high-speed corners there, dirtier, plenty of DRS trains here. Well, it's spread out by the slow-speed combination corners, and opportunities really are kind of rare, so it's going to be a tricky one.
So we approach 10 laps remaining in this event. Hutu's almost there. It's lap 46 of 56, so there is 11 laps to go, including this one. But Mitchell de Jong is still 7/10 behind Kroenke. You know, do they stay stagnant here, Jake, in sort of a, not a team order fashion, but just being patient, as Saito does indeed make his way past Ilkka Haapala finally, and Yuta Saito up into P11. Do the top two Coanda Simsport cars just maintain their positions here and not bother to fight? Because Tomula's 4.1 seconds behind. He's lapping in the 1 minute 21.0 range, similar to the two drivers in P2 and 3. I think it's a safe option for both of them.
Most certainly, you look at it, you don't want to cause, say, an incident later on in the race. You don't want to be in a situation where you throw away 2 podiums and say get 2 non-finishes. That will be disastrous for both of them, and that will take them out of the championship picture possibly. What you have to say is they're doing the right thing. They're keeping defensive. There might be team orders, there might not. But for the time being, they're going to hold station, possibly to the end of the race as well. And there's not really too much that anyone else can do about it. Tamala, the gap's too far away for him. He's not going to be able to close down.
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about before, Rachel, I wasn't going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up again for a second time. Was Umashima's 2014 Montreal race. A race where he really should be on the the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series winners list. But he's not. But it's okay. He's shown some great pace and potential. I think the biggest key for both himself and Yuta Saito here is that they've both worked on their consistency so much. And it's always been a big talking point whether or not consistency is a mental factor that stays with you for the rest of your life, or whether you can train it, or whether it's, you know, either way of the two as a driver and how much work you put into it.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think some of these teams perhaps haven't quite got the experience or the depth that other ones have, which means they do struggle a little bit when they get the transitions and moving around between teams and drivers. You do bring a lot of information and experience with you, so I think it's great to see drivers like them in one of the bigger teams like the Radicals, and it's really helping them.
Yeah, we look at this battle now with Pakala, Friskops and Bootloop, the battle for P6, 7 and 8 on your screen. And they close in towards the remaining laps of the event. And, you know, we talked about mental strength, Jake, and Patrick Holtzman, who couldn't race today, unfortunately had a technical issue which kept him out of the event, but he's always been strong at this racetrack. And you know, you talk about keeping your mind strong after, you know, potentially we would have probably seen Holtzman in the top 10 here today, just based on his past results at this racetrack, on his past pace, but he's not able to race today. And you know, what can you do in terms of mental strength, just sort of keeping your motivation for the rest of the year, knowing that one of your best racetracks is now out of contention for a great result?
Well, it is a problem, but he finds himself in a situation now where he's just got to get himself back up again, and drivers fall foul of this, of just falling deep down into a dark place where, oh, I've lost the one thing that I love and I want to get back into it as soon as I can. But the love won't be there, but he needs to get back up for Silverstone. He needs to get back into the situation where he thinks he's fine. And, well, you just look at it and he can be in that position where he fights. So I'll use Robin Friskops now as an example here. He's in a situation where his ERS isn't working as well as it should be. He can't close in on Ollie Pakala. He should be closing in on Ollie Pakala, but he's not got that opportunity. Now he's got to worry about Jeremy Bootloop behind. It's not the right race for Robin Friskops, who qualified 6th, and now he needs to gear up for Silverstone now before his race becomes over and done.
Yeah, one of the most surprising things I saw this season was Robin Friskops making a mistake. He's almost stolen the Iron Man nickname from Cam Stark. And as Friskops still trundles away in P7 in that NX racing car. Oh, and look at that poor exit for Robin Friskops. But can he maintain the speed across the S's on towards the back straight? Bootloop is so close behind here in that Radicals Online car. Flicks on DRS. Bit of ERS power too. He maxes out at 335 kilometers an hour, and that's not enough speed and not enough pace for Jeremy Bootloop to get past. So right now Bootloop still biding his time. He's in that number 8 car, currently in P8 for the OCD members out there. They'll be pleased with that for sure. But Hutu leads this race by 6.7 seconds ahead of Mitchell de Jong in P3. Then it's Tomala behind in P4, Graham Carroll behind in P5, Pakala 6th, Robin Friskops 7th, Bootloop 8th, as you can see from this battle. Piatella, Berryman round out the top 10, then it's Saito, Happala, Higlen, Mangan, as Martin van Loozenhoorn and Tomo Meglec battle behind here with Davide Korps for P20, 21 and 22, Rachel.
Certainly do, and right back there, of course, it's... we know Loozenhoorn had some issues, of course, with that car. Front end damage after his spin early on. He is right back in this one, of course. Tomo Meglec leading that 3-car train. It's a big run there by Loozenhoorn on the back of Davide Korps. Not quite able to make a move there, but... have an opportunity up here into the S's, of course. With 3 cars, it means that chances are Loozenhoorn won't get a run through the S's with that DRS, but we'll have a keep look there on Van Loozenhoorn. He does go for the move. They both get the move done on Tomo Meglec.
Yeah, so that was very, very close as we look at the replay here. Van Loozenhoorn on the back straight. So De Korps made his way past Meglec. And then Van Loozenhoorn had a look too into the slipstream. Then he tried to go at a quiet... Oh, so close at a... on the outer loop. And it was much similar to, reminds you, Jake, of Friskops and Job earlier in the event. Those two battling there. And Van Loosenau was on that dirty inside line, but he just had that extra little gap that Job and Friskops didn't have as we look at the carousel, Rachel.
Yeah, we certainly did, of course, and it was a really late attempt as well by Loosenau to make a move on Decor, but taking two was a little greedy, perhaps.
Yeah, it can be known as Carousel Turn 5 or the Outer Loop 2, known by a couple of separate names. You know, the Inner Loop is that little chicane that NASCAR uses for the Sprint Cup Series.
Also known as a bus stop. There are many names.
Yeah, also, yeah, many names for it. It's whatever floats your boat, really. Yeah, whatever. So, at this stage of the race here, lap 51 or 56, it's almost over, Jake, and yeah, you know, this is those moments of the race, and Kimi Räikkönen quoted it well once, where you just start to think of what you're going to eat for dinner and the girl you're going to see next week to go on a date with, and then you just crash off into the gravel. And it's so important for some of these leaders who may start to just want to get this race over and done with, and they just want to, you know, they have to maintain the car on the racetrack. They can't make any silly mistakes.
Yes, it has turned into a little bit of a procession here for the second half of this motor race, but you have to think that there is still 5 laps. You've been going at it for 50-odd laps, doing the same thing, the same lefts, the same rights, and the same straightaways, and the same ERS deployment and DRS and what have you. You just got to stay positive. You just got to stay calm. You just got to stay in the right position here. And I'll tell you, someone who needs to stay in the right position is Peter Berryman right now, because he has Yuta Saito all over the back of him. That's one to look out for in the last 5 laps.
Yeah, Berryman doesn't want to lose a top 10 result, excuse me. And now you look at Berryman and Saito, 2 guys fighting for positions in the championship. They're 5th and 6th respectively. So this is a critical battle come the end of the race. Berryman uses a little bit of grass on the exit there, through the blind corner of turn 9. On the throttle on the exit, Berryman's falling under pressure here, Rachel. He's starting to crack a little bit, but the dirty areas seem to benefit him slightly. Saito, who just moved to Radicals Online very recently at Sebring, right now needs a good run out of turn 1 to pass Berryman on the exit of the S's.
Yeah, probably a bit of a late place to try that one, but he will not, well, he just gets it done just in the right time, of course. Well, Berryman's still holding position, so run up here to the S's could be a chance, but the gap is a little too wide here. We'll see if he has to run nothing for Berryman to get DRS here and defend. There is a gain there by Yuta Saito. Will not be soon enough as he pulls up right behind him just before they reach the carousel. Not enough time. Berryman takes a wide line though. Bit of a wide run there, but he will hold the position still over Yuta Saito.
Yeah, that was crucial. The aero balance there proving its worth for Peter Berryman. He went offline, off that rubbered line too. And speaking to a few drivers as well, Rachel, you know, about this ERS stuff where a lot of them tend to sort of just save it all for that turn 1 exit and they deploy it all in one go for the lap. So it's also been a factor that's come into play this season as to how the drivers have managed their ERS, and some of them have fallen into some issues. We know right now Berryman using it quite wisely there on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, he was, and he needs to be in the right position for that one, of course, but as they head through the final part of the lap here now, it's all about maintaining a good run for turn 1. That's what Yuta Saito has to focus on, of course. He needs to get a great run through turn 1 so he can use that DRS and the S's, as they are being caught by Ilkka Haapala from behind.
Yeah, so look at Saito now. Oh, understeer through that turn 1 apex, Jake. That's cost him another opportunity to get passing Berryman for a top 10 position. Well, what about De Jong and Kroenke? De Jong 7/10 behind. He's oh so close to his teammate, but they're certainly not going to make a move. But yeah, what can Yuta Saito do here, Jay, come the end of the race here? He doesn't want to be over-aggressive and then maybe take both himself and Peter Berryman out. That's a factor that comes into play. You need to be smart in your overtaking moves. It is a long championship, 16 races. This is round 6.
Yes, certainly. You tell drivers to break it down. This is just a 3-lap period of the race, 4 laps to go, where you've just got to make one move to make that one place up. And for Yuta Saito, he's got to be clever with it. He can either wait it out for the final lap, and maybe some dramas might happen, or if my personal preference here would be 2 from the end, and put the pressure on yourself, make sure that through, make that break early, and make sure that Yuta Saito can keep himself within that slipstream range. He just needs a clean run here, Johnny, and he might just get the opportunity.
Yeah, that's what he needs. They're coming towards turn 10, the penultimate corner, then towards the last corner on the racetrack. So crucial for Saito here. Oh, he's pushing to the limit as well. But Berryman just breaks away. He's very smart with his ERS deployment. Starts to run out of a little bit of boost there on the run down to turn 1. Saito with a bit of understeer on the apex of that first corner. Push rod suspension working very well. Oh, and Berryman's here struggled through the S's. He's gone offline, and that's going to allow a great look for Yuta Saito. Tucks into the slipstream. He's going to be alongside Peter Berryman on the back straight, and that's Yuta Saito into the top 10. What a move as Berryman cracks under pressure come the end of the race. Maybe falling offline, maybe falling under some issues there, Rachel, too. So Peter Berryman now in a battle for the championship. They're both in P5 and P6. Coming into this race, Saito gets the upper hand.
Yeah, he certainly did, and that's what he needed to have happen there, of course. But, well, he's managed to get that move done, and, well, through Willem will also go Ilkka Happala. He, as well, made the move to stick, but as it stands, yeah, big mistake there from Peter Berryman.
Yeah, so Peter Berryman, he's, oh, man. I mean, for a driver that's put in so much hard work, and I'm not taking away from anybody else, but this is not the way he wanted to end this race. Hey, he'll fight back. He's had a great season so far. He'll be proud of his teammate Graham Carroll up there in P5. A bit of motivation for the team to keep on testing, keep on pursuing. Gregor Hutu right now is on the penultimate lap of the race. And Jake, you know, it has been, this will be his 7th win at Watkins Glen. He'll maintain his unbeaten streak. Has to be one of the greatest all-time virtual and non-virtual racing achievements you've ever seen, as Friscops now battles with Jeremy Bootloop.
Yes, he does, and well, for Gregor Hutu, it's a 7th straight win. It looks like it's going to be, barring any misdemeanors there on the final lap. But for Robin Friscops, he's under threat from Jeremy Bootloop here on the final lap. He'll have to use Pakula for help, but for Gregor Hutu, this has been dominance that the likes of which we haven't seen ever before, and the likes of which we probably never will see ever again. Gregor Hutu is absolutely amazing here. He'll start his final lap, and he is just phenomenal when it comes to tracks like this.
You know, well, let's see what Bonner House can do as well next year, if he does indeed race in this championship. But Hutu now crosses the first corner, and you know what, Rachel? He needs a win like this. This will be another win to his total in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And, you know, just such a phenomenal drive here today. He's had the pace, made a great move too.
Yeah, certainly. It's a great move by him, but we're going to have to see what he can do later on in this one. Of course, the season's a long one still. It would be nice to see some real moves here, of course, but this race, I don't think there's going to be many more passes, of course. Things are pretty static, of course. Well, this is the final lap, so Hutu, of course, heading through the toe of the boot now. One more set of corners from now, once more through the final part of this lap, and dominant victory, Johnny.
Yes, Hutu now wraps around the final couple of corners. That battle for P6, 7 and 8 between Friscops, Pakula and Bootloop. Pakula's dropped down to P7, so Friscops up into P6. What a race from Robin Friscops. It's been topsy-turvy for him. But we watch Gregor Hutu as he wraps around the penultimate corner. This will be win number 54 on the all-time list for the Finn. And Team Redline's Gregor Hutu crosses the line, and he wins round 6 at Watkins Glen International. A phenomenal, a dominant race here for the 5-time world champion. And right now, Martin Kroenke will cross the line next for P2. Mitchell de Jong in P3. Joni Tomala will cross the line in P4. Good race from him as well. Bootloop now makes the pass, and Pakula's dropped down to P8 as we look at that battle too. So Pakula dropping 2 positions on the final lap. Absolutely heartbreaking stuff for him. Carroll, though, crosses the line in 5th. So Pakula right now probably suffering from some fuel issues. Who knows? And he, unfortunately, will finish this race, Jake, in the 8th position as Friscops and Bootloop come home in 6th and 7th.
Yeah, well, you have to manage your fuel, and I said it before earlier in the race there. Ollie Pakula was forced to the front of the train, and he ran the train for the entirety of the second half of the race. His opportunity to actually save fuel was a little bit less than everyone else behind him, and well, it's paid dividends here for Friscops and for Bootloop. They've done exactly what they needed to do. Out of fuel went over the lines. Actually, we're looking here at Rocket Verona, and Jonas Nuka-Rainen have a race to the line, and well, Jonas Nuka-Rainen runs himself there just very slowly over the line to finish his race.
Yeah, so rounding out the top 10, it is Piatella and Yuta Saito who made that late move on Peter Berryman. But yeah, Ilkka Harpala there, losing that position to Peter Berryman. And Berryman into the 11th position, Harpala 12th. I almost did say Jeremy Bootlu making his way up into P7. It's been a phenomenal race from these drivers, Rachel. But one man, Gregor Hutu, I mean, to remain unbeaten at this circuit, it's just pure dominance. It's unbelievable to think about. It's just, there's nothing else to say. This guy is just can't be cracked at this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely, Johnny. And as much as we want someone to beat him here, this is Gregor Hutu's home track of sorts, in a virtual sense, because he is so strong here. He knows his place inside out. Finn really is dominant when it comes to driving at Watkins Glen. And I always love hyping this because I'd love someone to beat him. But it just doesn't happen. He is almost toys with drivers at the start of the race. He tempts us with a chance that somebody else might win and snatches it away. This time last year, this was the turning point for his championship after a sticky start, and it could well be the same this year.
Yeah, look at the results on your screen. Gregor Hutu wins 1 hour, 16 minutes and 39 seconds. Fast race at Watkins Glen, a high-speed racetrack. Kroenke and Mitchell Diong for Quanta Simsport come home and round out the podium in P2 and 3. You know, none of the top 3 finished in their starting positions. Joni Tomila comes home in P4, making up for his poor qualifying performance. Graham Carroll comes home in P5. Robin Friskop's in the 6th position, and it's Jeremy Bootloop in 7th. That late battle as they passed Ollie Pakula, who came home in 8th. Piatella and Saito round out the top 10. Good points for Yuta Saito there for Radicals Online. He's been a great pickup for that team. Look down the order as well. Berryman in 11th. Ilkka Harpala 12th. Higelin's had a quiet race. He's up into P13. Manga, no, with that early battle, fought his way up into P14. Dinkel, with his early struggles, eventually made his way back up through the field and comes home in P15. Alex Simpson comes home 16th. You look at other names down the order as well. Cholak 17th. Cam Stark 18th. And then Tome Meglic eventually came home 22nd. Good to see Rocco Barone racing out here again in 23rd. Nukarainen comes home in 24th. Filio, with that incident early on, eventually came home in the 25th position. A few DNFs down the order too. Sebastian Job with his huge incident at turn 5. The carousel, the outer loop, whatever it's called. Jorge Montañez on the entrance to the pit lane. And Sturgis and Lopez in the early laps. We'll take a short little break here before the drivers head to post-race coverage and post-race interviews. You're watching round 6 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series live on RaceBot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Do not leave us.
Since 2010, the highest echelon of sim racing competition has focused on NASCAR and Grand Prix racing. 50 of the best drivers in the world doing battle for championship glory. Each man for himself, and even though there may be teammates on track, each driver is in command of his own destiny. Until now. 2016 sees the start of a new era in World Championship competition, with team racing getting its chance in the spotlight. No longer can one driver rule supreme, but you must rely on those with whom you share a car, a setup, a strategy. Endurance racing can be very different to other forms of motorsports, with races in this series lasting either 3 or 6 hours. Teams of 2 or 3 drivers, perhaps on opposite sides of the world, will share seat time, each having to collectively work towards one common goal. Crash out, and it's not just you who you let down. Officially sanctioned by SRO, it will be teams of drivers who will go head to head, car to car, rival to rival in the pursuit of a championship. And there's over $25,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Some of the world's biggest sim racing teams are represented. There's also a group of teams who haven't seen this stage before, who want to make their mark and say we can hang with the best. The team racing revolution is here. It's loud, it's exciting, and it lives on iRacing Live, starting April 23rd.
Welcome back to post-race coverage for round 6 of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series at Watkins Glen International. Gregor Hutu takes the win. His 7th win at the racetrack, his 54th career win and 2nd of the season. Right now, though, we'll speak to P2 Martin Kroenke, who is sitting alongside Jake Sperry. Here you go, Jake. Martin Kroenke, who came home 8.6 seconds behind the leader.
Yes, Martin Kroenke joining with us. Martin, you qualified 3rd on the grid, and well, qualifying was always going to be difficult. Your teammate 2/10 quicker than you, and well, finding out that your start wasn't as good as possibly it could have been. Just how difficult is it in the opening laps to recover from a poor start?
Quite difficult, at least in the first 2 laps, because there's no DRS, and overtaking seemed to be pretty much impossible without spending hilarious amounts of energy, which wouldn't have been worth it. With DRS, it was surprisingly easy against Graham, but yeah, after that, I didn't really have any opportunity to get any close with DRS without ruining the front tires in the corners beforehand. So yeah, after that, got kind of slow progress.
Yes, definitely. And well, finding out that this track is also an incredibly hot one here for Watkins Glen, tyres were always going to be a factor. Of course, it was a one-stop strategy race today. And well, for your pit stop window, you found yourself in a position where you were trying to chase down the likes of Gregor Hutu throughout most of this race. But you find yourself in a position now where it didn't quite work out. You had to make your way back through on Mitchell de Jong. How crucial was the pit stop window for you in the making of your race?
Fairly crucial. Mitchell got by stopping a little bit earlier and having much fresher tires in his outlap, basically, which obviously helps quite a lot. I actually planned to go a little bit longer to maybe grab a point for the lead lap, but the tires were falling off so badly in the lap I went in, and then Greg also went to the pits, so yeah, getting that extra point unfortunately didn't work out. But yeah, there was no other point to stop. If I would have gone a lap longer, I potentially could have crashed or lost a huge amount of time.
I see. So a good strategy call, but for you, it's another top 5 finish. It's another podium finish even as well. And for you, your championship is really something. I mean, we talked about in the opening race of the season how it could have been a crisis for VRS Commander after a poor showing there, but you've bounced back. You've shown exactly what you can do. Just one thing for you. Are you in a position where you're looking forward to Silverstone?
I'd like to say yes, but unfortunately, Silverstone is one of the tracks where I really struggle. For some reason, I have not found out yet how to go faster on Silverstone. But yeah, I mean, still somewhat looking forward to it. I mean, racing is always good fun, and yeah, also opportunity to maybe finally figure out what we're doing wrong with the tires at the moment.
Yes, certainly. And well, Rachel, thank you, Martin, for joining us. And Rachel, I believe you're standing by with our race winner, and that is Gregor Hutu.
I absolutely am, Jake. Thank you. To have managed to catch up with you, Gregor. We thought you were going to give us an interesting race at the start of this one. On the outside of the grid for the start, second place, not the pole. You toyed with us for the first 10-15 laps. You stayed behind Martin Kroenke, of course. Sorry, Mitchell de Jong even, and then decided to just, release the proper Gregor Hutu, and off you disappeared. What is it about Watkins Glen that makes it so strong for you?
I'd like to know that myself, and I would use it at other tracks as well. But no, Mitchell was fast in the beginning on the opening laps, and basically I was just trying to save some energy behind him. And yeah, that worked out great. Once I got a good run, I was able to overtake him. We had a good side-by-side battle for a while, so yeah, then it was just a question of trying to pull away and keeping the car on the track here, which is sometimes a bit tricky, especially turn one. So, but yeah, it worked out great, and I wasn't really expecting to win this one. It was looking pretty bad after qualifying. So, but I think the hotter track worked out for me. So. I guess that's one thing to work on, being faster on a cool track.
Of course, you always say you go out here never expecting to win, but somehow it always seems to happen, Gregor. But was ERS a limiting factor in today's race? Was there enough braking zones to recoup the energy you were using?
Well, it's tough to say. I think Mitchell was struggling more with the tires, so I think that was the deciding factor more than the ERS. So, but yeah, like I said, I was in the DRS behind him, so that is always a big help, and you can save a bit more. So, yeah.
Awesome result, Gregor. Any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
As always, Fanatec and OKO, and thanks to the team as well.
You care to give us a few words in Finnish, your fans?
Not this time.
Oh, Gregor, you disappoint everybody. But of course, you came home today with the victory. And of course, this time last year, this was the sign of your championship run to come. Do you think this latter half of the season will be Hutu time? That was a question, but okay. We'll move on. Thanks for joining us, Gregor, of course, as always, and congratulations.
Yep, thanks.
I'm joined as well now by Mitchell de Jong, the driver from VRS Commander Simsport. Mitchell, great pole position today. The early part of the race, we thought you might actually be able to challenge the King of the Glen. What happened?
Yeah, thank you. The qualifying lap was pretty good. There's a little bit of an improvement could be made, but I got an off track on my second lap, so but happy was still enough for pole, and yeah, the pace seemed really good for us with the first 15 to 20 laps, but we seemed to kind of have the issue that we've had the past few races where we just kind of run out of tires again. It's really tough to deal with that in that situation. I think for the whole race I had a huge amount of understeer, and then after around 20 laps it would get very, very oversteery, and then in addition to that I was having the deployment bug again that I had last weekend, or last race, sorry, and yeah, I need to really figure out what's wrong with that, as like At some points I could stay even, and then other points the car just simply wouldn't deploy any power, and people could drive right to the back of me or pass me. So it was very annoying. But yeah, overall it's a clean race from New York.
Slight in joke there, but yeah, great race from you, of course, Mitchell, and great performance in general. Are you looking for more rounds this season that you can bring the win to?
I really hope so. Silverstone isn't my favorite track, but it's really tough to say. It's a new car. Anything can happen. So hopefully we can get some more pace. But after Silverstone, I'm really looking forward to all the tracks. They're much more fun, in my opinion, than these past ones. So yeah, excited to see where we end up, and hopefully we can get some better results.
Awesome, great one from you. Any sponsors you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to thank my whole team, Coanda, Jorn for spotting and telling me when to pit, Virtual Racing School, RaceSpot, and Design, EC Sim Hardware, and Dual Real Timing for helping us decide when to pit.
Awesome. Well, before you go, we asked Gregor, he declined. Would you like to say a few words in Finnish before you go?
I think I'll have to pass on that one.
Yeah, okay. No worries. All right, thanks for joining us, Mitch. Barry, who's standing by with Joni Tamana.
Joni, it was one of those things today where qualifying was always going to be very difficult for you. Everyone was in tight, everyone in close, and for you, it all came down to that final lap for you. You were back down in row number 9 coming into that final lap. Was it really something you had to pull out of the bag, or did you feel that you had something left on the track to prove after that qualifying?
Yeah, my qualifying was really bad. I made a lot of mistakes on my both laps. And P9 was still pretty good considering those mistakes.
Yes, definitely. And well, finding yourself up through battles up and down your field, you had to charge, you had to make your moves. But something that stands out for me is your battles with Sebastian Job. Of course, you were trying to find a place here, a place there to try and make your move. Was it difficult, especially with the ERS trains forming around?
Well, yeah, it's always a bit difficult with the ERS, but I just sat there and saved ERS enough to make a proper pass later on. It wasn't that tough in the end.
Yes, certainly. And well, for the final, for your final finishing position, 4th place is always very good, up 5 positions and one of the biggest movers and shakers inside the top 10 for you. It's your first finish, which isn't either a race win or a non-finish in itself. So is a top 5 respectable place for you to be trying to aim for the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously, it's a bit disappointing to not win again, but maybe next time. We'll see.
Yes, most certainly. It's a fantastic result for you here, Joni. And well, Rachel, I believe you're standing by with the final driver interview that we have today, and that is Apex Racing's Graham Carroll. Thank you for joining us, Joni.
Thank you.
Yes, I am indeed, Jake, and well, we're here with Graham Carroll. Graham, looks like Apex Racing decided to finally sort out their qualifying pace, and you and Sebastian had an incredible qualifying result, of course, starting in P4 and 5. Of course, you were the only one to survive from that group. It was great seeing, of course, all the blue cars up towards the front of the grid this time. P5, though, you've got to be really proud.
Yeah, thanks. It was, we knew if you didn't get qualifying right here, you knew, obviously last year there was a big crash in the first lap, so getting a good qualifying means a lot here. So it was good to see me and Seb in 4 and 5, and we just planned to work together and stick on the back of these quick guys, and I managed to, and I think Seb got caught up in a wee bit of bother, but overall absolutely over the moon with that result, to be fair.
Do you attribute your success today in the top 5 result you've got on the world stage to your involvement in the UK9 Monday Night Skip Barber series?
Oh, definitely, Rachel. Definitely, you've got to look back at where you start, and all the wee Skip Barber races definitely got me to where I am now. But a lot of hard work and time put into getting here, and it's just good to actually get up at the top end of the field, to be fair.
That's great to hear, of course, and don't forget you can catch that on Monday nights at 9 PM British Summer Time, 8 o'clock GMT, but we'll advertise less, interview Graham more. Graham, Silverstone's the next round, of course. It's, I want to say, a home track for Apex, because we don't have Knock Hill, of course, but you looking forward to running at Silverstone?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 if I'm going to be there, to be fair. I was meant to be racing over in Zandvoort in the Formula Fords, but that's a maybe at the minute, and if not, I could be away testing, so, or I could be here racing at Silverstone, so we'll just see how it goes, and it would be a good one to do, to be fair. If there was a track in the schedule I'd like to do, it'd be Silverstone, but we'll see what happens. But I'm sure the rest of the team will be putting in the laps and all the hours of effort and getting the setups right, and I'm sure they'll be right up there anyway.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Of course, any sponsors you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Well, again, all the guys in the team for putting in their effort, and obviously all our sponsors. A lot to name at this minute, can't remember them off the top of my head, to be fair, but just the whole team in general putting in all the effort, and the team bonding session the other week helped a lot, so very pleased.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Graham, and congratulations on the top 5 and really putting the Apex name up at the front this season.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks. Back to you, Johnny.
Yeah, well done there to Graham Carroll, who's had such a great season for himself and the Apex Racing UK team. And final comments on the race today, Rachel. You know, you look at the likes of Coanda Simsport and how they're still packing on some great podium finishes, but they can't afford to let Gregor Hutu. This is sort of the stage of the season where he goes on those win streaks and he picks up those 8-9 wins a season. They have to stop that at Silverstone as quick as they can.
Yeah, they certainly do, and you really need to nip this one in the bud before it starts to grow, and Hutu will just run away. It's one of those things, but expecting him to be strong again. He's his typical very, should we say, self-assured self. He's very withdrawn and very, humble, I think is the word I was looking for. He's always the mark to beat. He had a slow start, but he had a slow start last season, and he still won. So he is the moving milestone. These guys are all aiming for him.
Rational words from Rachel Whiteford there. And Jake, final talk about next week's, or 2 weeks from now, next race, I should say, at Silverstone International Circuit, an iconic circuit built on a World War II airfield, but very similar characteristics to Watkins Glen here today. You know, a lot of braking energy. You look at high-speed aero balance, fast sweeping corners. You're looking at Hutu, could he possibly make it another win there at Silverstone?
It's very possible, but the way I'm going to see this is that he's only won at high-speed tracks so far. He won at Phillip Island, he won at Watkins Glen. Maybe it's something that that's his sort of strength, as it were, but maybe Silverstone won't be the way that we see it, because we saw it after Phillip Island at Sebring. He didn't get everything his own way, and that is something that needs to be taken into account. He might go on his winning train, he might not. It all hangs in the balance, so that's why you've got to tune in 2 weeks' time in order to get that result sorted out.
Yeah, that next race will be on the 14th of May in 2 weeks' time. 60 laps around the Silverstone International Circuit for round 7 of the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That will be on RaceSpot TV, stream live on iRacing Live as usual. Thanks to the viewers, thanks to Rachel Whiteford, Jake Sperry, Hugo Luis on cameras too. I'm Johnny Simon, thanks to all our sponsors too, iRacing, Anwern Design, Istvan Belor, and VRS Coanda Simsport. This has been a RaceSpot TV presentation broadcasted on iRacing Live. We say so long from Watkins Glen.